fuel, give me fire, give me double shot it down.
Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Turn 3 Racing Network, as tonight we are here in Daytona for the Elite Racing League JoinAPS.com Sprint Cup Series, Cup Series Pine Cone Cabin Daytona 500. It is a full 500-mile event, and we will be bringing you qualifying action here in about 4.5 minutes. Thank you very much for joining us here tonight. My name is KR Stolfus. I am your host, and in the booth with me is my good buddy, Dave World. Dave, how you doing tonight?
Doing good, KR. Yet another great night of racing in store here at Turn 3 Racing Network, man. Appreciate you bringing me out, watching these guys here at this big, fast, super speedway track. So, gonna be some fun racing. Good night.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting 500-mile event, 200 laps scheduled here at Daytona for the Pine Cone Cabin event. And Dave, we do a super speedway series on Monday night, so we're very familiar with what goes on these super speedways. But for those of us who may not know, tell us what's in store for tonight.
Well, you're going to see upwards of 200 miles an hour side-by-side racing, at times 3-wide racing. Here at Daytona, not quite as wide as Talladega, so you may not see the 3-wide as often as you would over there. However, you're going to see a lot of bump drafting, a lot of cars wiggling around, because when you take the air off the rear end, kind of doesn't like that too much. So, fuel strategy could come into play. No stages here tonight. So, it's going to lend itself to have some interesting different aspects, I believe, KR.
A lot of stuff up in the air, including who is going to sit on pole. As I mentioned, qualifying coming up. We will have a 5-minute qualifying session. That means drivers, when this session kicks over, will have to get on the track almost as soon as possible. It takes about a full 5 minutes to turn 2 laps for qualifying here. You have your warm-up lap, and then you will have your 2 timed laps, and a lot of times your second lap is going to be your faster lap here at Daytona. So all the drivers, as soon as qualifying hits, need to be out on track. At least those who plan to qualify. We'll probably see a few drivers who take the strategy of sitting, kind of at the back of the pack.
Yeah, KR, that's the strategy I like to usually employ, especially on these full-length races. 250 laps, I believe it is, here at Daytona tonight. So, long race. No need to qualify. You're plate racing. Just don't lose the draft and you'll be okay.
Alright, since qualifying is getting ready to kick off, we're going to step away for the national anthem. No one go anywhere. We'll be right back to bring you our fastest qualifiers.
We take you down onto the track for our opening ceremonies.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise. Please remove your hats.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, as the Pine Cone Cattle Daytona 500 qualifying has just kicked off. Check and see who is representing the Elite Joint ABS Cup Series on the pole for this event. Right now, the 86 of Ethan Reasoner out on track. Ethan on his warm-up lap, trying to lay down the best time he can come up with. Right now he is hugging that yellow line. And right on the bottom, another car getting up to speed. That is the 26 of Tyler Riggs. Dave, you got anyone you got your eye on for this qualifying session?
Watching the 14 of Bradley Clark. He's just coming off of turn 2, or actually that would be turn 4, coming around to begin his hot lap. So he will be more than likely up there hugging that wall, trying to keep the momentum up on this first lap and then go to the bottom for the second. Don't think we have anybody quite yet that's put down a flyer yet, so to speak, Kayla.
No flying laps just yet. Checking in on the 73 of Michael Goodman. Goodman laid down a very quick lap in practice. That was in the draft. This is a solo car effort for qualifying, so we'll see how the 73 stacks up tonight on our qualifying. Already burned off 2 minutes in this 5-minute session. As I mentioned, this qualifying will go very quickly. Drivers get to get up on the wheel, get rolling. Jose Mejia in the 46 machine, currently sitting in second place on the speed chart. 2 more drivers now starting to roll across the start-finish line, including the 45 of Matt Arcara. He finds himself in 6th place. So Dave, with the drivers here in qualifying, how important do you feel it is to sit on pole for this 500-mile event tonight?
Unless you're getting any points for the pole position or leading a lap, I wouldn't worry too much about it. And even if there was a long way to go still here in the season, I wouldn't worry about it too much. As I already said, it's plate racing. As long as you've got the draft, you're pretty much in it. You can be in it with a pretty beat up machine. So I really wouldn't go after the pole, to be honest.
Well, the 22 of David Westergreen right now finds himself in 10th place. It's about a minute and a half left. A lot of drivers not even rolling out on the track. We have 11 cars looking to take a qualifying time, maybe 12, 13 as a few more have started to roll. Logan Shea in the 6 machine, riding the wall there as he gets ready to set up his qualifying time. So it looks like maybe just under half the field interested in qualifying.
And it's not really that much of a surprise, but the 7 of Joshua Personette, he was able so far here to go up, snatch that pole position away. So he's thinking opposite of most of the guys out there. He wants to start up front, stay up front. More cars behind you, the less you got to dodge when it happens in front of you, I guess, is his strategy.
Coming up on 30 seconds left in qualifying, Chad Frankenfield in the 15 machine. Out on track. And, that would probably be a good time to go over our point standing coming into the final event in the regular season. Frankenfield has the points lead and has locked himself into the championship chase, so to speak. Several other drivers have as well, but it looks like it is time now to start setting up for our qualifying grid. As I mentioned, this is going to be the final race in the regular season. So as drivers take to the grid, start bringing you our starting lineup for tonight's event. Alrighty, let's see here. Let's give it just a minute more. Let a few more find their way on to. But wow, it's gonna be a fun night tonight. One warm-up lap here before the drivers start to roll. We're starting a lineup for the Elite Join APS Cup Series. Chad Frankenfield in the 15, going to be on row number 1. Logan Shea in the 6, going to be on his outside. Row 2 will be the 7 of Joshua Personette and the 31 of Gerald Campbell. Row 3 will be the 45 of Matt Arcara and the 14 of Brady Clark. Row 4 will be the 22 of David Westergreen and the 94 of Kendall Noah Player. Row 5 will be the 73 of Michael Goodman and the 46 of Jose Mejia.
Starting row number 6, the 26 of Tyler Riggs and the 86 of Ethan Reisner. Row number 7, the 41 of Dallas Mahan and the 19 of David Tooker. Row number 8, Joshua Clark and his 28 machine, followed by the 97 of Levi Zki. Row number 9, the 11 of Matthew Weeks and the 10 of Jarrett Rexing. Row number 10, the 12 of Damian Liniger and the 87 of Richard Hines.
Row 11 will be the 64 of Andrew Rucker and the 32 machine of Dustin Dewar. Row 12, Brent Jones in the 89 and Stephen McGough in the 83. Row 13 will be the 3 of Scott Haney, and that will be our 25 car starting a field here tonight. The drivers pace around down the backstretch slowly, carefully, and this might be the last time ever that we see them too wide here at Daytona. If you didn't catch on the sarcasm, well, I can't help you there, because these boys are going to be 2 wide, maybe even 3 wide, very possibly 4 wide, but 4 wide not highly recommended here at Daytona.
Not at all. Would definitely not try to go 4 wide, especially here early, KR, and we're getting ready to go, bud.
Pace car down and away as the green flag is in the hand of our flagman, and he is displaying it for the drivers. Frankenfield jumping out with a good start there. Logan Shea on his outside. He is going to have the 31 of Campbell tucked in right behind him, and Frankenfield moves up to the high side very quickly. That is leaving the bottom lane open for the 45 of Matt Arcara to lead that lane.
Surprised to see all the cars go up to the top early already, not even finishing lap 1 here. So drivers jockeying for position here early tonight, and at 22 and 45 are on a move now on that inside lane. Gonna get by Frankenfield as they come through turn 3 and 4 back to the front stretch. So he may have started on pole, but he is not going to lead the first lap.
The 45 machine of Arcara is going to be our first lap leader of tonight's event. Don't worry, we got a lot more to go and a lot of opportunity for these drivers to pick up that bonus point for leading a lap. As I mentioned, this is the last race before the chase starts. 14 drivers going to make it into the chase, and there are a few drivers who are locked in. So far, we only have 6 drivers locked into the chase. Frankenfield, one of them, as he is on that front row on the outside leading that lane. So he is locked in, but he would still like to win this race. So that 15 machine is out on a mission tonight. But Matt Arcara in the 45 would love to ruin his plans. And Matt right now out front holding that yellow line with the 22 of Westergreen right behind you.
And looking a little bit further back in the pack right now, KR, looks like most of the drivers starting to get single file down there on the outside lane. Looks like the 3 of Scott Haney is left outside right now, but he's actually making up a ton of ground on that inside lane. But I believe he will try to slot in front of the 28 if the chance is there for him. But looks pretty calm back near the rear of the field.
Yeah, drivers not really hustling the cars a whole lot just yet. Everyone giving a lot of room, settling into a spot here. Frankenfield in the 15 doesn't have any help on the outside lane. The 14 of Brady Clark trying to gain a position here as the 26 of Tyler Riggs on the inside. But we do have a little bit of a breakaway here. Oops, it would appear. The 86 of Ethan Reasoner has a bit of a gap over the 83 of Stephen McGough and the 46 of Jose Mejia. That is closing quickly with the 83 trying to close in on the 64 of Rucker.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of drivers playing it safe, playing it cool here early at Daytona. Looks like there's only maybe 4 cars out there running that outside lane all together. Some of them up in the front 5. Most of them actually inside the top 10. So I don't know. I think they're kind of just stuck out there. Not enough cars to go with them, but it looks like nobody behind that lead pack really wants to jump out there and run side by side just yet.
We do have cars in that outside lane, but as you mentioned, not a lot of people venturing up into that second lane. A lot of time here in this race, so drivers getting single file very quickly, maybe trying to log some laps and, you know, just set themselves up, feel their way around the track. Now we are seeing a lot of drivers start to move to the high side. Now 2 cars on that inside lane. That is the 45 and the 22. And Frankenfield in the 15 is going to lead his first lap finally. We are going to go on aboard with the 15 of Frankenfield. Chad working his way into turn 3 up on the banking there. We take our gyro cam, you can see just how much of a tilt there is here at Daytona. Down the straightaway, still has some banking, but compared to the corners, it feels almost flat.
That it does, KR. When you're in it, I guarantee if you could put your hand out the window, you could touch the track. That's the crazy amount of banking that's here at Daytona. Not quite as much as Bristol or Drastic, but it is it's almost like a roller coaster.
So Frankenfield leading the charge on the outside. He has several cars behind him, but the 45 and the 22 hanging tough. Just a 2-car duo. However, the 86 of Ethan Reasoner, he has got a lot of room to close up to the 22 of Westergreen, and he is making a hard charge up here. He is going to get to the back bumper of Westergreen, and that was a lot of positions gained for the 86.
Oh yeah, when there's a little sniff of the draft, and you have a lot of cars lined up in one lane, and you get just the slightest little sniff of the draft out of the cars, that are running the different lane, you suck up like nobody's business, KR. You've been in the middle of a pack, you know what that middle lane can do. It's almost the same effect.
Want to check in on a few of our drivers at the back of the pack. The 32 machine of Dustin Dewar. Right now, he is going to be behind the 73 of Michael Goodman. That is 20th and 21st. Jose Mejia in the 46, finding himself 22nd. And I feel these drivers here, some of them started up front, and they have made their way to the back of the field and are trying to just ride around. Josh Clark in the 28 and the 11 of Matthew Weeks sitting right there as well. The 89 of Brent Jones running a unique paint scheme here tonight. Looks like he's got the Cartoon Network on that machine. Brent right now finds himself in 19th. He is trying to tuck in behind the 12 of Damian Leininger. But our entire field is less than 4 seconds from first place to last place.
Yeah, 4 seconds, KR. It sounds like a lot of time, but I promise you, those drivers are running back in about the 17th, 18th position back there with Jarrett Rexing and Damian Leininger. If something happens up front, that 4 seconds goes away in less than a blink of an eye. So 200 miles an hour, being as safe as possible, and everything can go wrong in the blink of an eye. It hurts sometimes when you're running these things. It hurts because you don't know what you know what I mean? If you're up front and it happens, and if you're in the back and it happens, you're even madder. So that's some tough strategy going on out there. A lot of drivers, as we already said, single file, few getting a little impatient here and there, trying to jump a car or two and duck back in line when they can. The 86 has another run down there on that inside lane, jumping out. Ethan Resner going forward yet again. So I think we're going to see that for a little while, at least to the first green flag pit stop. And we'll have to see what happens from there, or if we get that far.
Speaking of green flag pit stops, I received several different estimates from the drivers as to when they thought they would have to hit pit road. Somewhere around lap 30 to 35 is when I would think everyone is going to try and pit. Not 100% sure how far these tanks can go just yet. We'll keep an eye on that throughout the night. But a very rough estimate by a couple of drivers saying they thought they could go 30 to 35 laps.
That's some pure crew chief numbers right there. That's a big difference. 5 laps here at Daytona is a really, really long time on the stopwatch. So that's a big window.
That it is. Like I said, rough estimate. And it really came down to how much the drivers were in a big pack or a 2-car duo, or just kind of riding around at the back, not necessarily going full throttle, just trying to keep pace. So it is really going to kind of factor into where you are running this event here so far.
And KR, I'm actually keeping my eye back here on this back pack back here, being led by Levi Zielinski. It looks like nobody's really pushing. They have a couple gaps in between some cars, but they are not losing ground. In fact, that last lap, I believe they gained just about a 10th or 2 on that front pack. So they're just nice, organized, calm, and collective, and not losing any time. So I think I like this strategy back here with these guys.
They are single file. They're not necessarily tightly packed in with each other, but they are staying in the tire tracks of each other, so they are keeping a pretty good speed up. The 87 of Richard Hines, right now he is in last place. Started in 20th, finding himself in 25th, but he is still only just under 5 seconds off the pace of the leader. So it's not a bad place to be.
Not at all. Absolutely not at all, especially this early. Long race here tonight. 200 laps, still have 186 to go. I mean, that is a long, grueling race.
It will be a mentally taxing race for our drivers. The 64 of Andrew Rucker right now finding himself out front. He has not crossed the start-finish line yet as the race leader. He is trying to do that. He has found a little bit of speed in that 64 in front of the field, but the 45 and the 22 throughout all the laps we've completed so far as we get ready to complete our 15th lap, the 45 and 22 have been married to that yellow line, and so far it has been working out very well for them. As they continue to battle, Rucker did lead that last lap to give him a bonus point for completing that lap. Tyler Riggs in the 26 machine. Right now he is being scored in 6th place. He is the 4th car in the outside lane. Brady Clark in the 14 right behind him. We go on board with Tyler Riggs in the 26. A lot of drivers staying on that high lane. And a very unique strategy because generally drivers on a asphalt oval or pavement oval, whatever you want to call it, try and protect the bottom, but so far here tonight, Dave, it looks like a lot of the drivers choosing to ride right around the middle lane of this Daytona International Speedway.
Yeah, KR, it's a strategy, if you remember, for a couple years back and for a few years that Dale Earnhardt Jr. used to use that strategy of basically bringing the momentum in the numbers up to that high lane, because it's a lot easier to come off of the corner and block a run low than it is to try to wash up the track and block that high run. So not only that, you keep the RPM wound up a little bit more, so you get a couple more miles an hour out of it. You can actually go faster up there, even though the bottom is the shortest way around. And you don't really have to worry about much except a push, maybe getting you a little loose, maybe scraping that right front on the wall. But good strategy. Worked very well for him. We'll have to see if it works out for Andrew Rucker, who's gonna come around and still be your leader. That inside lane starting to fade back just a little. Now we see a few drivers ducking down, possibly thinking about going up and starting to get some two wide action maybe.
No one seriously committed to that two wide action just yet, except for the 45 and the 22. Still continuing to run right there on the bottom. I do want to check in on the second group of drivers. The 97 of Levi Zielinski still leading them. They haven't lost touch with the lead pack. They are still within striking distance if they were to try and form up and run very tight and quick lap times, but they do still have a lot of room behind them. So everyone here in this trailing pack seems to be committed and content to just riding around for now.
Yeah, and I mean, as I've said a few times already, KR, I mean, I like the strategy. It's a long race. Might as well be safe. Try to be there at the end to take the win.
Yeah, speaking of safe, these drivers do not have a fast repair tonight. So when the big one happens, if it even does, which it is Daytona, let's be honest, it's probably going to happen. But a lot of drivers may see their race go up in smoke very early if everyone was trying to be aggressive. But so far, for the most part, looks like everyone being very satisfied with leaving a lot of room and just logging some laps here, setting themselves up for maybe a green flag pit stop That's about 10 to 15 laps away.
Yeah, and the no fast repair, no quick fix, however you want to categorize it. Not having that makes you think a little bit more about the actions you choose at certain points in the race. But everybody gets impatient. You can only sit and ride for so long before you're just ready to take the run and see what happens. So waiting to see if any of that takes place here before green flag pit stops. If anybody's going to try to position themselves in front of a few cars in front of them before they decide to hit pit road, or if we're going to see how it plays out, who gets stretched out, who's able to get on and off with who, and see if we end up with multiple groups that have to push even harder now for a shot later in the race.
Go high atop from the blimp, our aerial coverage for tonight's race provided by joinaps.com. Wonderful views high atop this Daytona Speedway. Such a beautiful facility. It really has multiple uses. The oval is obviously famous, but the road course for the Daytona, or the 24 hours of Daytona, that in itself is a very good road course. And speaking of iRacing's Daytona, the 24 hours of Daytona, coming up in January, I just got invited to a team for it today, so had to mention that. Very excited for that.
Wait, you know how to turn right?
Yeah, I'm on the dirt. I'm a pretty good dirt driver. We turn right to go left.
Yeah, but you got to turn right to go right here.
What?
I did not know you were a road racer, so I'm actually going to have to come watch this, see how you perform out there. I know how you perform in these Cup cars. Had the pleasure of running with you earlier in the year. And now we're starting to see some of that side-by-side up at the front, KR. It looks like some drivers maybe doing, as I alluded to, trying to jockey for a few positions before they get on and off pit road. So Tyler Riggs in the 26 pulling ahead of Frankenfield on the inside right now with help from the 14 of Bradley Clark. Or Brady Clark, I apologize. Put an L in there for no reason.
He showed you how to say his name. It's spelled right there.
Yeah, I can't read.
Oh, well, that's no excuse. All right, so drivers, as you mentioned, maybe trying to jockey for the last little bit before they have to hit pit road. The action is kind of picking up here. A lot of drivers are starting to migrate down to the bottom, getting a little bit closer to those back bumpers, starting to push a little bit harder. And right now, the 15 of Frankenfield, who has led for 13 laps so far tonight. The 64 of Rucker has been out front for 7. We have had 3 leaders so far tonight. Matt Arcara, the other leader in this event, has been out front for 4 laps. Right now, the 45 machine sitting in 4th place, but he's going to make a move to the outside for the first time here tonight. The 45 machine comes up off the yellow line.
And it looks like everybody's migrating now, besides that 45 in the 22, who they pretty much were glued to that bottom lane, and they swapped the lanes. They were running outside lane, pretty much came down and took over the inside lane. Now those two drivers find themselves running tandem again, but just in the higher lane.
Field working its way off of turn 4, coming down to the tri-oval. Frankenfield going to lead another lap. And the 45 and the 22 have swapped, so that is very interesting. It would seem that the 45 and 22 are committed to working together here, and it would appear it doesn't matter what lane it is.
It looks like, I'm not sure, KR, because this is my only, I believe, second time here with the league. So I'm not sure if they're teammates, but it sure looks like it to me.
Yeah, the teams are David Westergreen for 616 Motorsports and Matt Arcara also on there. So yes, those two are teammates. They have another teammate, that is Brent Jones in the 89 machine. And Brent Jones right now is running in 25th place, our last place runner, but he is within 5 seconds of our race leader.
That makes sense to me now from a crew chief owner standpoint. Don't put all your eggs in the same basket. So don't put them all in the back if something happens back there. Don't put them all in the front. But if you want to be able to go up and possibly steal a win, you're going to need the help up front. So I like that team strategy right there. 2 up front running with each other, 1 in the back, just hanging out, maintaining, and not really putting themselves in any danger or trouble. So I think I can dig that team strategy going on right there.
Everyone now getting single file down on the bottom, maybe setting themselves up to hit pit road as we're coming up on 30 laps. The 15 of Frankenfield dropping down below the yellow line, sometimes that being a signal of, hey, I'm going to hit pit road this time. So pit road is busy, however. The 19 of David Tooker, Levi Zielinski on pit road, Jared Rexing. The green flag pit stops are happening. And the 15 is going to bring a few more drivers. Tyler Riggs in the 26, he's going to stay out. And Riggs is going to lead his first lap of the race here tonight. So, with the green flag pit stops happening, drivers at the back of the field have gone 1 lap down for that. If they can form up quickly, they will be able to recover that lap without any issues. But Riggs in the 26 right now scored as your race leader. We do have 4 cars 1 lap down. That is Brent Jones, Damian Leinengert, Joshua Clark, and David Tooker.
And I think, KR, looking at the field right now, the drivers that are going to come out looking pretty good may be that 97 of Levi Zaleski and Jarrett Rexing, that little 3-car tango, I guess is what I'm going to call it right now, just because I couldn't figure out a better word. But this trio of drivers, I think they're going to have the upper hand here as they are up to speed and running pretty good already. And Andrew Rucker and his little group that pitted with him, they're not quite up to speed just yet. They are closing in very rapidly on those fellas.
Michael Goodman in the 73, right now in second place. Ethan Reisner in the 86, your race leader. He has not come down pit road just yet. 4 cars here. Staying out for the moment is the 86 of Reisner. Oh, it's the 32 and the 73 are going to lock it up right in front of the 45 or 46 of Jose Mejia. And Jose is going to thread the needle and get through that. Doesn't look like Dustin Dewar in the 32 or Michael Goodman hit anything. That will cost him some time, but the 86 of Ethan Reisner looks like maybe he has found a bit of trouble here, as he is going to be off sequence and all by himself. When he decides to hit pit road, he is sucked up to the back of the 22 of David Westergreen. But Reisner is going to hit pit road this time, and that will complete this green flag pit stop cycle. That was 32 laps for the 86.
Yeah, not as late as I expected. I expected the drivers to try to go to about the 32, 33 lap mark. So all of the drivers playing it, erring to the caution side of things and coming in pretty early. Maybe it's a fuel strategy for a few green flag pit stops down the road. Maybe you can work yourself out of an extra pit stop for a splash or something. Not quite sure, but we're going to have to wait to find out. Top 4 have stepped away from the field. I believe that is the top 4 right there, KR. And if I'm looking at this correct, and Lord knows my eyes are hard as well, looks like they have about a 4-second gap back to that 5th place position.
Yeah, Ethan Reisner in the 86 going to rejoin the race, just missing this lead pack, but he looks like he might be able to close in on them if he can get up to speed here quick enough. But Reisner going to slot into 5th place. This 4-car breakaway, if you include Reisner, who is now 1.3 seconds behind in 5th place, but 6th place going to the 6 of Logan Shea. He finds himself 4.8 seconds off of our race leader.
See, talking sometimes hard too, huh?
It can be, yes. So the 6 machine, as we ride on board off the nose, you can see the leaders just ahead. That is what 4.9 seconds of a gap looks like. That 4-car breakaway works its way through 3 and 4. Ethan Reisner now finding himself all alone, about 1.5 seconds off of the back bumper of Stephen McGough.
Yeah, and unfortunately, KR, you can get a sniff of the draft from about 6/10, possibly 7/10 if maybe that last car checks up a little bit. But anything over the 2nd mark, I don't believe he's going to be able to latch onto those drivers and get up there with that front 4. Fortunately, I think he's going to end up dropping back to pick up the rest of the field, with Matt Akara and Joshua Personette leading those drivers from 6th on back. So the strategy almost worked out there for Reisner. Not sure if it was strategy or just putting the woe up in time, but almost worked out. But you know what, yeah, back to you.
Almost only works when you're playing horseshoe and hand grenades.
There you go.
Stephen McGough in the 83 machine taking us for a ride now. We look out the back of his car and see Reisner trying to close in. Reisner is losing some ground. He has lost the majority of the draft here. He is still able to maintain a decent pace. As McGough makes the pass on Rucker, Frankenfield back to the front as the race leader. And that 15 machine, as I mentioned, locked into the chase. He has the most wins on the season with he has 2 wins along with Joshua Adams, but Adams has stepped away from chase contention, said that he would not be able to compete in enough races to justify taking a spot up in the championship. So with only 14 drivers able to make it in, and Adams stepping away with his 2 race wins, 6 drivers have locked in with a race win or in by points. That means we got quite a few spots to fill here tonight, as this is the final race before we kick off the chase. And that is going to happen at Iowa, November 27th. So the Iowa 200 will be our first chase race. It will be the round of 14, round 1, including 14 drivers. We'll go to Iowa, Watkins Glen, and then Kansas Speedway will be the final track for round 1 as we eliminate the driver's 14th spot through 10th. So 5 drivers being eliminated in 3 races to make up round number 1.
The Glen is going to be interesting. A chase race? That's great scheduling. I actually, hats off, fellas. I like that. Nice little twist to the chase. And I'm going to beat you to it here, KR. Lap number 40 out of 200. I believe it's lap 40, maybe only lap 39, actually. 162 laps left to go. House cleaning and cleanup's going to be real fast and simple. David Westergarden must have had some trouble on pit road. All the drivers still out there on track, all 25 still running. Westergreen, however, finds himself being scored the only car 1 lap down, KR, and I believe that had to have come from a speeding violation or something of that sort under green flag pit stops.
Yeah, he spent a total of 40 seconds in his pit stall, so maybe trying to hammer out a little bit of damage, or quite possibly a severe speeding penalty, because a typical pit stop is right around 14.5 seconds here for these Cup cars.
And it looks like almost a minute and a half total pit lane time, so over a minute longer than most of the other drivers.
That is a lot of time to be sitting on pit road here at Daytona under green flag conditions. Do want to check in on a few other drivers here. We saw the 45 of Matt Arcara lead a lot of laps. Well, he may not be leading the race officially, but he is leading a group of drivers. This is our largest group. Matt Arcara right now finding himself in 5th place. You see a long train of cars behind him. They are closing in on the race leaders as that 4-car group has seen their lead dwindle, as Matt Arcara and several other drivers have stayed single file and have worked together to close up to the back. We're going to have a very long train here in just a moment.
That is a very, very good job. I thought those top 4 had set sail, but as you said, working together, all of the drivers bringing the whole field back together here. Only about 12 or 13 laps into this green flag run, so still about 18 to 20 laps left before these drivers will start hitting pit road again. So yeah, great job by all those drivers to understand the big picture. Make up the time now and see how it shakes out at the end of the next green flag pit stop.
The Frankenfield has led for 24 laps so far tonight. A lot of drivers looking at the back bumper of that Miller Lite machine. And this train has gotten a lot longer as everyone now staying single file. And the last car in this group is going to be 6 of Jose Mejia. So first through 18th spot right now finding themselves single file. And then there is a 20-second gap back to the 12 machine of Damian Leininger. Damian right now in 19th spot. He works his way off of turn number 4 onto the front stretch. Is almost half a lap behind our race leader.
And I think that's not the position they wanted to be in. Looking at time and scoring, nothing looks too off. Some of those drivers maybe 10 seconds longer on pit lane, not their pit stop, but on pit lane. Not sure what that would be about other than just being extra cautious, but being that far back this early is not where you want to find yourself. They're more than likely gonna need that nasty yellow flag to come out in order to close the gap and get back in this race.
While we were talking about the 12 of Leininger, 2 cars made a move around him. His teammates Joshua Clark and David Tooker, those 2 teammates from Pro Edge Racing, move into 19th and 20th place. Matthew Weeks, the other Pro Edge driver, right now he finds himself in 17th spot, so he is a driver running in the lead of pack. We'll check in on the 11 of Weeks. black, red, and white FedEx machine. Started in 17th, currently in 17th. So he is running a solid race so far as we're coming up on the quarter mark of this race. We're working lap 46 of 200. And I don't know about you, Dave. I feel like now would be a good time maybe to do a little bit of crank it up. How about you?
Let me have it.
All right. We're going to do it crank it up style. Enjoy the sounds here at Daytona as 25 cars just absolutely rip this track up. Nothing wrong with a little bit of crank it up action here at Daytona. Just a chance for you to really hear these cars and see the drivers up close and personal as they work their way around this Daytona Super Speedway. Frankenfield continuing to lead in that 15 machine. Our drivers, I mentioned, first through 18th spot are 1.9 seconds set apart. Right now, the 3 is Scott Haney finding himself into that 18th place. Joshua Clark not really able to gain any ground on this lead pack as Clark is leading the second group of drivers. Finds himself in 19th place. So this second group, a little bit smaller than the lead pack that we have, but they are running very similar lap times, which is why they can't close the gap. But that smaller group may be a little bit safer, and they do have half a lap to slow down should the yellow come out.
Yeah, and it looks like actually the 97 is trying to make a move on the outside. There's a 4-car group. They came from behind most of your leaders. They are and have decided to see if they can't go up there and lead a few laps themselves. But the numbers still remain down there on the inside lane. So it's still going to be really tough for those drivers to go up and make that pass and take over leading this race.
Yeah, Zielinski had a shot at it, but Frankenfield just motored right on past as that 15 has a lot of help behind him. Drivers here might want to start thinking about trying to get in position for the next round of green flag pit stops as we are working lap 22 since the last time they were on pit road. The green flag pit stop started around 30 laps into the run, so fuel tanks getting a little bit dry.
Yeah, last time some of the drivers began to pit around the, I believe it was 28 lap mark, as we do have a little bit of discrepancy on some of the tires. I believe Zaleski and Rexing, they are out there on 24, 25 lap old tires. Rest of the field about 23. So they're going to have to hit pit road just a little bit before the rest of the field. But I believe 5 to maybe 8 more laps and we should start seeing drivers hit pit road once again.
Two cars trying to make something happen in the outside lane. The 86 of Ethan Reisner, one of those drivers, as we go off the nose cam here, he is trying to use the draft from the car in front of him, and he is using it very effectively. He has a lot of room. He doesn't have to lift going into the corner. These drivers on the inside lane maybe lifting a little bit when they hit that corner entry as the cars tighten up when you're so close in the wake of the car in front of you. And he is closed in now very fast on the 46 of Jose, and these two cars might make some noise in this outside lane.
I'd like to see a few more drivers do some testing, if you will, KR. You don't know how you can go with a run just yet, as we've seen a lot of single file playing out here, a lot of drivers playing it safe. But you got to know what you got at the end, when to go, when to lay back just a little bit. You know, you got to take that run to the front, see how many cars it takes, see how many laps it takes you to get there. So interesting to see, as we're just a quarter of the way through this race, that no drivers or teams have yet to start testing the water, so to speak, for the late race winning run that you may have to pull off. Because you may not have that top spot or two coming out of turn 4. You may have to get that run back to the line.
The 46 and the 86 making some headway to the front of the field. They are closing in about 4 laps away from seeing a green flag pit stops. We have a few more drivers venturing up into that second lane. The 7 of Joshua Personette joining in, as well as the 26 of Tyler Riggs, the 94 of Kendall Noah Player, and the 14 of Brady Clark.
What a name. What a name. Kendall Noah Player. Can you imagine just, you get to literally walk around and say your name is Playa. You know what I mean? That's absolutely awesome. Or is that just me?
He's not just last name of Player. He is a 3-namer. Like, he is so good, you have to say his all 3 names. He does have a race win as well here in this Elite Racing League Join APS Cup Series. Kendall picked up the race win at Pocono for the TSJ 101-200. That was an outstanding race for Kendall. He is looking like he might set himself up for a second win on the season. And what a way to round out the regular season. What a power move it would be to pick up the win.
Yes, it would give you a lot of momentum as well moving into the chase. Chasing after a championship, get a win at Daytona. Long race, mentally, physically. I mean, your arms get worn out here. It looks very smooth on the inside of the cars, but I promise your arms are working, and they are tired at the end of this thing. But his left foot right now is not tired, as he is trying to go up there and take the race lead away from that 15 of Chad Frankenfield. Frankenfield has led the most laps so far, 38 laps here tonight, KR. Now Mejia side by side when they cross the line, so that 2-car tandem is starting to make some headway on the outside.
They have been hooked up nose to tail and have gained a lot of ground on the race lead, but so far have not been able to wrestle it away from that 15 machine. Chad really has been out front quite a lot of laps here as he's getting ready to complete his 40th lap lead. And it might be hard to beat that 15 machine. Of course, a lot of drivers might be content just to ride where they are too. So we don't know what they have planned as green flag pit stops are underway.
And I seen the 15 on the backstretch. He ducked his left sides underneath the yellow line, and I thought that may be a signal, as most of the drivers that came down pit road right here with them, a lot of drivers coming on and off pit road, gotta watch getting into your box. But as I was saying, I think all those drivers signaled they got the message and we're coming with you. So that was interesting to watch and see.
Now the 86 of Reasoner picked up that lap lead. The 46 of Jose right now has the race lead. When will the 46 and the 86 hit pit road? Not this time, but we do have a few more breaking away for pit lane. The 7 of Joshua Personette locked his brakes up, kept that car under control. Remember last time we saw 2 cars go for a spin right there on pit entry. And now the 86 and the 46. They need to get nose to tail. They are all by themselves. Now is not the time to battle with each other. Now is the time to try and hook up and lay down a fast lap, because you are not drafting with anyone and you are losing time to the rest of these drivers who have hit pit road as they have pitted as a group. Will be able to close any time gained. And now the 46 is going to make his break for pit road. The 86 of Reasoner, he's going to stretch his tank once again as far as he can.
And I'm just not sure about that strategy now for Reasoner. I mean, last time you seen him almost grab a hold of that lead pack. Then, he fell back for a minute and came back up when the field was single file. He had a partner right there. He chose to stay out, so I'm not sure the thought process on top of the box with that one. But I've been wrong before, but it was just when I thought I was wrong, so I'm not sure how to take that.
Well, I can't tell you. Maybe Reasoner is playing the long game here and trying to get as much mileage out of every tank of fuel. Maybe set himself up for being the only car not having to hit pit road. And maybe the last part of the race, if this thing goes green all the way.
Yeah, punching away the numbers over here on the calculator, KR, and it looks like most of the field is playing a strategy around the 30 lap mark or so. Few drivers hit pit road before the 30 lap mark, but it looked like the last run was going to end up only being 20 laps. So short pitting a little bit early here, maybe some of your eventual race leaders to get the longer stint at the end of the race, break it up more into 30-30-30 over the next 2 or 3 pit stops.
So the 86 finally hitting pit road. Drivers who have pitted, the 64, the 15, and the 83, with the 64 of Rucker leading these 3 drivers. They do have a bit of a breakaway from Tyler Riggs in the 26, about a half-second gap back behind to the 26. As Rucker moves up to the high side, he's going to let the 15 go around along with the 83 of Stephen McGough. And Reasoner now rejoining the race. But he has lost a little bit more ground this time than last time. It looks like he may not be able to get to the back bumper as quickly. However, the line of drivers is longer this time. So this strategy, or when Reasoner hit pit road, may work into his favor a little bit.
It may, KR, but it's a scary one. It's almost a hope and a prayer that you're going to be able to fall in line with the cars. Fortunately, it has worked out both times for him, as he has rejoined the track, and he's not really too bad off. It doesn't look like. Looks like he's going to slot in somewhere around the 18th position, so he should be fine. Our entire field almost still, or at least the top 15 drivers, about a second and a half with each other. So, I mean, I guess it's a good job by the crew chief there. Good call.
So the 15 once again out front. We have ran green flags since the drop of the first green flag. No cautions so far here tonight. Drivers know what is in store. We haven't hit the halfway mark. We are past the 50 laps. So the first quarter of the race is done. Now we're working on the second quarter. And for those of you football fans, maybe if we break it down into quarters, you might understand that.
I don't believe there's any certifiable rocket scientists in the NFL. Just saying. I'm not saying they're dumb, but I'm just saying. I mean, Roger Penske's got a few actual rocket scientists over there helping run the show.
A lot of drivers in this lead pack here once again. 15 cars in this group. The 86 of Reasoner has found himself in 18th spot. 89 machine of Brent Jones. As you see him right behind Reasoner, Brent Jones finding himself one lap down in 23rd place. Dustin Dewar in 24th is one lap down as well. And now the 22 of Westergreen finds himself 2 laps down in this event tonight.
At 2 laps down at a super speedway is I don't want to say your night's over, but it's pretty close to it. You've got 2 or 3 bites left of that steak on your plate there before you might as well just go ahead and call the waiter and get the check.
He is for sure going to need the help of at least 3 cautions. 2 of them, I should say. Well, we'll need more than 2 cautions because he's not the first car 1 lap down. But 3 cautions would get Brent Jones, Dustin Dewar back on the lead lap, get Westergreen 1 of his laps back. But we going on aboard with the 7 of Personette. He is working in the middle of this pack. He is on that yellow line, but now he moves up to the high side, following the 94 of Player. Now he drops down to the inside, looking for some room to gain a few spots here maybe, trying to close in on the back bumper of the car in front of you.
And a car I've had my eye set on the past few laps, you've mentioned his name a few times here tonight already, and that's that 6 machine of Logan Shea. Really digging that paint scheme. It's pretty awesome if you want my opinion. Not sure my opinion matters, but love the little alien little theme he's got going on there.
The 73 of Michael Goodman going 1 lap down now. So Michael Goodman in 22nd spot is going to be our 1 lap down. Now Brent Jones will have to battle with Goodman, try and become the first car 1 lap down. Should we get a caution, we have been caution free for the first 70 laps. The drivers who have been pacing themselves, we saw a lot of single file action with a few cars venturing into a second lane, whether it be the high side or the low side. Now it looks like a lot of drivers have decided to split it. This lead pack is about half and half on the inside and the outside. Rangenfield in the lead, but at the line, that one was close. It looks like Rangenfield lost that lap lead to the 45 of Matt Arcar.
And our car has been working hard to get up there and lead laps again in this race. That's only going to be his 5th lap led of this evening's Pine Cone Cabin 500. So he wants to get back up there and try to challenge Frankenfield for the most laps led, because the entire field is way behind on that, as Frankenfield has led 45 laps, only 10 laps led by Andrew Rucker. So Frankenfield has that in hand right now, but some of these drivers trying to get up there, still a few laps away.
This battle at the front starting to heat up. A lot of cars in this front group, but let's check in on the 19 of David Tooker, the 12 of Damian Leininger, and the 28 of Josh Clark. 3 cars here in this group. Tooker in 19th, Leininger in 20th, and 21st going to Clark. They're now 30, or I should say 5 seconds behind our race leader. They are getting in danger of going 1 lap down here. They're going to start having to try and pick up the pace a little bit. Maybe they'll pick up this car that they're closing in on. I'm not sure who that is. I believe that is Dustin Dewar in the 32 machine.
Well, the only thing working to their advantage right now is your leader side by side. Looks like the top 10 to 12 cars side by side, as Gerald Campbell is leading the outside lane in that 31 machine, but Matt Akar is getting a push by Frankenfield still. So inside the lane, 4 cars starting to pull back away from the outside lane, being led by Campbell. If there was ever a bright spot for the drivers just up in front of them, it's the fact that they are still side by side.
A lot of drivers jockeying around now. And, you know, this is a long race, mentally taxing on the drivers. And at some point, the red mist is going to settle in. The driver is going to be tired of looking out his front windshield and seeing nothing but the spoiler of a car in front of him. He might see a hole open up, maybe try and make a bold move just to get a change of scenery. And that starts happening. Oh man. Especially in this pack here, someone at the front, maybe trying to lead a lap. It makes a little bit of contact in the trioval. All heck will break out.
I'm waiting for a driver in the outside lane on entry. You see that gap right there into 3 between the 15 and the 41. I believe that is the 41 down there on the inside. But that gap that's left there, you know how great it can be if you time it just right. You're going to go straight to the front. So I'm surprised nobody's tried that line just yet.
If you can find a way to work through the middle, car on the inside, a car on your outside, you'll have a whole lot of speed there. That middle lane is the fastest lane here with this Cup package when you are trying to get to the front. However, high risk, high reward situation, because you now have to deal with car on your outside, car on your inside. But this group of drivers, no one is really leaving enough room to allow for that third lane or that middle lane create a 3-wide situation.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying I do it right now. I'm just saying I'm surprised I haven't seen it. There's a big difference. And the 41 had a moment there on entry of 1 and 2. He went up the track a little bit, almost into the side of that 64. As you see the 64 go up the track that time by maybe have been a little bit mindful of the last entry. Gave the 41 a little bit of extra room, but most of the drivers starting to line up single file down on the inside lane once again. Only 2 cars out there on the outside. Frankenfield does lead that lap with help from Rucker, as now it looks like Meehan is jumping out there to join that pack. 31 of Campbell gonna close in here, and if I'm not mistaken, isn't that Reasoner right there? Where did he come from? We thought that last pit stop was a little bit worse for him, but here he is knocking on the door of the top 5.
Yeah, Ethan Reasoner in the 86 machine, really playing the long game here, stretching his fuel as far as it will go. And even though he rejoined the race and fell all the way to the back of this lead pack in round 8-5, now finds himself trying to get into the top 5. He is the 4th car on that inside lane. And I guess you could say that Reasoner may be flexing some super speedway muscle here.
Yeah, and it's really a product, KR, of everybody running that single file down there on the inside lane. You suck up really, really good. You build a little bit of a gap. Take, for instance, driver just behind Reasoner, Levi Zaleski. If he were to get the run now and dart to the outside, he could pass 1 or 2 cars with the momentum, duck back down in line and employ that strategy a few more times, and you'll find yourself right back up here up front, just like Ethan Reasoner has. It's just once you get up here and they're side by side, is the risk worth that reward this early, as we still will have 120 laps left here tonight in the Pine Cone Cabin 500 when we cross the line. So we are inching closer and closer to the halfway point. These drivers will have to hit pit road one more time before we hit halfway. And KR, it takes a lot of focus when you have this many green flag pit stops back to back, still under green flag here. No cautions tonight. Amazing job by these drivers to go this long with no caution, as Rucker in the 64 took over the bottom lane for the race lead as of now. But he's got the 41 of Dallas Meehan out there on the outside trying to take it from him. So as we get close to green flag pit stops again, KR, field jockeying for those positions.
Every little bit matters here with our drivers, and it has been an amazing run. 82 laps without a caution, and seeing these guys work together to maybe form a group of cars to challenge for the lead, and then maybe when that group dies out, they drop down to the inside. I am just completely enthralled by the fact that these talented drivers haven't had a caution yet. And I'm not saying that that didn't come out right, but these talented drivers, sometimes you get a driver who maybe tries to push his luck a little too far and just runs out of talent, but so far tonight, these guys have been almost picture perfect.
Yes, they have. I mean, it's like you said, I'm surprised there hasn't been a caution, because most of the time, even on Sundays, when these drivers, even the professionals, like I said, on Sundays, go out and get paid millions of dollars for it, you very rarely see a green flag stint this long at a super speedway track. So that's just, it's not talking down on the league. It's more of giving them props by saying, I can't believe there hasn't been a caution, because I mean, they're not being paid millions of dollars, but maybe they should, because they are showing some great patience and skill out there on track so far here tonight. And yeah, I mean, it's been absolutely amazing to watch the different strategies, the different drivers working with each other. We've seen a handful all running together just in different spots, different lanes, trying different runs, and then going back to the single file for a little bit and seeing if anybody else gets the itch.
Rucker in the 64, your race leader. This 8-car pack has been tightly formed for a while, but we are starting to see some separation. They are spreading out a little bit further in the back. Got Haney in the 3 machine right now, finds himself in 18th spot. And that 3, he did start shotgun on the field in 25th place. Right now, that 3 solidly with this lead group. There's the 6 of Logan Shea, the driver who you said you liked his paint scheme the most. Someone here who has found himself with a good run so far here tonight.
And he has good company, the 46 of Jose Mejia, Scott Haney, as you already said. A number of other drivers, David Tooker, Damian Liniger, Joshua Clark, all right there with them. I do apologize. Actually, David Tooker is a long ways back from those 3 drivers. But, I mean, he's got good company. He is not far off of the field, only about 2 seconds or so off of the leader. So it's a good, comfortable spot if you ask me.
I like being comfortable in a long race. We're getting closer to the halfway mark. We're working lap 86 of 200. Rucker in the 64 out front, leading the charge on the inside lane. The 41 of Dallas Myhan leading the charge in the outer lane. And Myhan trying to lead a lap here. He has led 3 so far here tonight, but with Campbell on his back bumper, he might have a shot coming off of turn 4 to run to that start finish line and register his 4th lap lead of the night.
Gonna need a little bit of a push, a little bit of help from Campbell to get that job done. A little bit too far back off of 4 that time by. Still side by side though. Gonna have a little bit of an edge going into turn 1. Will he stay up high? Yes, he will. That's gonna allow the 64 to come back with a run and help from the 15. 45 is in tow. The 86 of Ethan Reisner still right there. Looks like the 41's trying to get in a spot that just isn't quite there. Ooh, close move back there. I believe that was the 97 or 83 actually. That slotted in just behind Reisner, and that was very, very close. 29 laps into this green flag run, KR, and you can expect in the next, I would say 4 laps, to see all these drivers hit pit road.
Yeah, green flag pit stops getting ready to be served up, and it all comes down to who is going to pit when. We go on board with the 26 of Tyler Riggs, working his way down the backstretch. The 26 machine. He has led a lap here tonight, and we have seen him up front, but with this lead pack right now, he is just outside top 10, as we do have drivers making the break for pit road. Oh, it's the 64 Rucker, hard on the brakes. Got loose right in front of the 15 of Frankenfield. Gathers it back in, but hold your breath there, because that was a close one.
And green flag pit stops aren't as easy as a lot of people think. You would think, oh, you're driving around, you just, turn to the left a little bit harder and go down, but you have to woe this machine up. Big, heavy car that you have to woe up over 100 miles an hour. Difference in pit road speed, I believe here at Daytona, is only 55, and you're doing almost 200. So it is a big deceleration, and sometimes you just misjudge the distance.
Second group of drivers hitting pit lane. This is a very large group of drivers. Everyone getting onto pit road cleanly that time. No issues there. But once again, the 86 of Reasoner staying out. As this time, though, he is going to have some help. The 73 of Michael Goodman staying out, and the 46 of Jose Mejia have stayed out as well. Goodman is the first car one lap down, and Reasoner has got maybe 5 laps before he has to hit pit road. And Goodman going to stay out with Reasoner, but Mejia going to hit pit lane this time.
Yeah, and it looks like Chad Frankenfield, along with the 64 in the 45 of Matt Akara, Andrew Rucker leading this trio. Looks like they may have the upper hand here after this set of green flag pit stops. I believe they have a good bit of distance back to the cars behind them. Gonna have to deal with the 41, the 31, these few drivers right here as they make their way around them this time. 3 wide off of turn 4. Oh, loose in the middle is Campbell. What a great job by him not to get any worse out of shape than he already was there. Man, that was really close.
Campbell gonna lose some spots as his momentum was shot as he tried to save that wild 31 machine. But Campbell gathers it back in, gets back in line. Tyler Riggs in the 26 gonna close in on that back bumper. But Campbell, as you said, outstanding save there. And he gathers it in and now heads off to try and tackle regaining lost ground.
And I'm going to steal one from a good buddy for NASCAR, and everybody's good buddy. Everybody loves DW. He liked to say that he wrecked it. He just didn't crash it.
Not a bad line. Not a bad line. So the 86 of Reasoner, your race leader, still out there, has not come down pit road. He is the only car to not hit pit lane during this cycle. Right now, he is trapped. Well, he has 14 cars on the lead lap for the moment. Michael Goodman in the 73, kind of on the same pit stop strategy as Reasoner in the 86, but Goodman going to slow down and hit pit road this time. But Reasoner now really trying to close in on the back bumper of, I believe, Richard Hines. Oh, nope. Hines right behind him. That is the 3 of Scott Haney. So he is trying to close in on the back bumper there. But when Reasoner hits pit road, the rest of the field will unlap themselves. But for the moment, he has a 41-second lead. And if this plays out in his favor on a pit stop cycle coming to the end of this race, who is the 86 going to hit pit road there? That would be a lot of room to play with. Now, it is all dependent on the caution flag not coming out. And this 86 is playing that long game.
Yeah, but what it also does for you, KR, is it ensures that you're not going to end up a lap down through the green flag pit cycle as long as you don't have any speeding penalties or unsafe entrance or exit, because you're stopping with almost a full lap on the field, so they have to go all the way back around just to pass you. Indeed, they will. Oops, sorry about that one. I'm absolutely sure they will pass him without no doubt about that one. But he will not be in danger of losing the lead lap and should cycle in pretty well.
The Reisner rejoining the race down the backstretch. Rucker gonna make the pass on him. That was a pass for the lead, and Reisner trying to find some room to get back up onto the track. As that inside lane, no one wanted to give him the space, and Reisner on the apron here because he could not come up on the track. So that is gonna hurt him a little bit there, as he had to lift to keep it on the apron. But the 41 of Dallas Myhan out front, and Myhan sees nothing but clean track in front of him. That's got to be a good feeling.
Got to be a good feeling, absolutely, especially as we're getting closer and closer to the halfway mark. Not just to be leading this field, but still be alive. And once again, I mean, hats off to the entire field. We started tonight's Pine Cone Cabin 500 here at Daytona International Speedway with 25 cars, KR, and all 25 cars are still running on the track right now. 21 cars still on the lead lap to 73 of Michael Goodman. First car 1 lap down. So, I mean, that just goes to show you. I mean, every driver still out there on track. None with any damage. Some had a few little incidents that they may have to clean up if they're going to want a shot at the race win later here tonight. But great job so far by all of these drivers.
We're closing in on the halfway mark, and the 97 of Levi Zielinski made a slicing move down to the inside to take over the lead, and Zielinski going to lead his second lap of the race tonight with the 97 out front. But the 45 of Matt Arcara working with the 15 of Frankenfield, having the momentum on that outside lane, are going to try and take that lead away. Arcara in the 45 out front for the moment. They head off into turn 3, but Arcara staying high. Frankenfield, though, in the 15, going to slice down in front of Zielinski. And Chad Frankenfield going to assume the race lead now.
Oh, that was very close from Zielinski, as he was looking like he was trying to follow the 15 of Frankenfield up to that high lane. Second guessed it and pulled back down to the bottom. He'll pull even with Frankenfield into turn 1, and your top 7 throw a blanket over him. 32 just behind them, I believe, is being scored 2 laps down, trying to unlap himself the hard way here tonight. But Frankenfield now slots down in front of Zielinski, sorry, and that's going to take the 45 to the lead of that outside lane with help from Kendall Noah Player. So still the leaders jockeying for positions here as we just now hit the halfway mark.
100 laps to go here in the Pinecone Cabin Daytona 500. Our drivers have not disappointed us. This Elite Racing League Join APS Cup Series has been exciting from start to finish. Give you a mid-race update. We have had no cautions so far. The first half of this race has been all green flag racing. Frankenfield has led for 50 laps so far tonight. A dominant car for sure, because Andrew Rucker in the 64, he has led the second most laps. He has only led for 15. But the 86 of Ethan Reisner, he is someone to keep an eye on, as he is running a long game strategy. He stretches his fuel tank as far as it can go. He is led for 12 laps, right now sitting in third place in that column of lap leaders. And guys, I think now is a good of time as any to do a little bit more of crank it up once again. We will mute our mics. We'll enjoy the sounds of race cars as they pound pavement here at Daytona. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Pinecone Cabin Daytona 500. Drivers just past the halfway point for tonight's event. We are working lap 106 of 200. Who is Levi Zielinski in the 97, trying to make his car really wide. Frankenfield in the 15 gonna make it 3 wide. Kendall Noah Player in the 94 machine, finding himself the meat in the sandwich of 2 cup cars. And Kendall holding tough in that middle lane. Zielinski in the 97 gonna hold on to the race lead. But they are 3 wide. Action starting to heat up here as we have gone past the halfway point. We saw the first fuel run where drivers wanted to stay single file. A lot of space in between them. Lewis Rucker in the 64 gets into the wall a little bit. That causes the 45 of Matt Arcara to make a move to his inside, and Arcara is going to make the pass on Rucker. Frankenfield in the 15 staying committed to that 3rd lane, but everyone has abandoned the 15 for the moment. He is all by himself, and Zielinski is enjoying this as he has got clean air in that white and red 97 machine with some yellow splashed across it. And Dave, this race has not disappointed at all. It is clicking along very quickly.
Yes, it is. Unfortunately, though, somebody that was clicking off some laps led by an unconventional, if you will, pit strategy. That is the 86 of Ethan Reisner. He finds himself almost a half a lap down now. And I believe that is a product of not being able to get back up on the racetrack when he finished his latest green flag pit stop. But now we are starting to see, KR, we are starting to watch these leaders move around even more, risk 3 wide at times. But Zielinski still leading the field. Other drivers now thinking better of it, going back down to single file. Looks like only player, and I believe that is Arcara that is deciding to go with him. Just as I say that, out from behind, Zielinski, Dallas Mahan pulls out to lead that 2nd lane. He's going to make a hard charge towards the front. He is clear if he wants to go to the bottom. Will he drop down there? Yes, he will at the line. The lead, yet another lap for him. So business picking up just a little bit up front, and I think we only have about a 2-second gap back to the 13th position. So starting to see some of the field assert their dominance here just past our halfway point.
Do want to check in on some drivers in the middle of the field. As you mentioned, the first lead group, that is spots 1 through 13, just 2.2 seconds separate first through 13th spot. Richard Hines in the 87 machine, he is in 14th place. He finds himself 26 seconds off the race lead, but he has got nothing but clean track in front of him as we go on board. Looking out the nose of this 87 machine, he does have the 83 of Stephen McGough right behind him, and the driver you mentioned, the 86 of Ethan Reisner. Those 3 cars working together right there on the lead lap. Brent Jones in the 89, that 4th car in your picture, he finds himself now 1 lap down in 23rd place. But with the race past the halfway point and having 21 cars on the lead lap, it is going to be difficult for these guys who are in the lap down column to get back into this race.
Unless we have a rash of cautions here late as we click off the laps, I assume, you know, as I said, business picking up already. I assume with about the next 25 to 30 laps, that's when we're going to see things really start to happen. When we get around the 50 lap mark left in this race or so, I think that's when it's time to shake it out and try to work yourself away from the field if you can.
Guys, if you are enjoying tonight's broadcast, if you are enjoying the show that these drivers are putting on for you, make sure you hit the thumbs up button, because that will go a long way for this league, for the drivers, give them a boost of confidence for the talent display that they are putting on here tonight. But we are on board with the 94 of Kendall Noah Player. Our gyro cam showing us the banking here at Daytona. And man, when you set this car into the corners here at Daytona, it plasters you not into the side of the seat, but down into the bottom of the seat.
It's a little bit different G-force pull. If you've ever been on a roller coaster, you can feel different G's into different corners. And that's exactly what it's like when you hit that corner and that banking at 200 plus miles an hour. You don't just get pushed to the left, as you said there, KR. You get pulled down at the same time, so it's more of a diagonal. You just get dumped down into that seat, and it's a crazy feeling.
Alice Myhan in the fourth deployment into the lead. Myhan now has been out front for 14 laps here in 114 completed. The front of the field has been where a lot of action has been going on, but a few drivers I want to check in on. These are the Pro Edge drivers, the 19 of David Tooker, the 28 of Joshua Clark, and the 11 of Matthew Weeks have all hooked up here. However, because there's not been a caution to speak of in this race, they find themselves 38 seconds off the race lead. But they do have the 12 of Damian Leininger from Bright Lights Motorsports, and then the 6 of Logan Shea. And Logan and Damian, we have 5 cars here. It is very important that Logan and Damian stay to the back bumper of these guys, and everyone has to work together to try and close the gap, because this race very well could go all the way to the checkered flag without a caution, and being 30-some seconds off the lead pack, that's going to be hard to make up if you are not working together.
30 seconds here at a super speedway, KR, that's pretty much impossible. You are not going to make up that much time, especially not having the numbers that the front of the pack does. It's going to be, without a caution, their chances at a race win have pretty much faded away and set sail already. They need some help from the racing gods to close that gap and have a shot.
Want to check in on the 31. That is Gerald Campbell. Right now, he is part of this lead pack. We saw him make an outstanding save several laps ago. Here he is trying to recover from that, working off the back bumper of the 14 of Brady Clark. Clark looking out his windscreen at the 32 of Dustin Dewar. Dewar finds himself 2 laps down and in a difficult position because he is up with this lead pack of drivers. He does not want to create an issue being 2 laps down, but at the same time, he can't give up a spot here because every single position he can get closer to the front is going to be very important for that 32 machine.
Yeah, have you ever, KR, have you ever unplugged your audio like an idiot?
All the time.
Yeah. I was over here talking. Mike was unplugged. So, my bad. We'll continue to roll on though. This field, 82 laps left to go. And as you said, I mean, this thing could quite possibly go green start to finish. And to make up some of the time these drivers have in flag pit stops have begun again. Few drivers hitting pit road that time. I believe it was only about 4, maybe 5 of them. But that 26 second gap, I just don't see how you make that up without help from the racing gods and giving you that yellow flag.
The green flag pit stops underway once again here on lap 120 of 200. This Pine Cone Cabin 500-mile event, finding its rhythm, finding its groove, and all of these drivers still in the race. We started 25 cars, all 25 are still running, and with this green flag pit stop cycle, going to change things up a little bit. The 15 of Chad Frankenfield, great entry onto pit road, very aggressive for the 15 machine. Gained a few spots there, and he is looking to take off with the lead once again. He has led 50 laps here so far tonight. 73 of Michael Goodman finds himself as officially, I believe, the last car on the lead lap, and he is, as the 31 of Gerald Campbell has stayed out. So Campbell scored as your race leader, but Campbell going to make the break for pit lane, and he is going to be all by himself. Not something you want to do on a super speedway series on a plate track, where drafting is extremely important. But Goodman and Dewar, teammates I believe, working together right here. And Goodman, as I mentioned, last car on the lead lap, but the 86 of Ethan Reasoner. When will he come down pit road? Reasoner has about 7 laps or so before he has to hit pit lane. And the caution flag is going to come out for the first time. We have trouble on the backstretch. Scott Haney making a very evasive maneuver. And the yellow flag flies for the first time. The 41 and the 97 finding trouble. Looks like as they were working their way through 1 and 2, and the 41 of Myhan is just going to hook the 97. That was through turns 3 and 4. I apologize for that mistake. And that was just a product of trying to bump draft in the corner as they tried to work their way around the 94 of Kendall Noah Player. So 2 cars going around here. And then the 3 of Scott Haney really had to take a huge move there to get around them and not make any further contact. Haney, who had just come off of pit road, as we go on aboard with the 3 for this one. This is going to be very close for the 3 of Haney as I backed it up a little too far. You can see the smoke start to develop. And there is that road is blocked in front of the 3. And a good heads-up drive there by Haney. So the 86 of Ethan Reasoner scored as your race leader. Had not made a pit stop yet. This could be a big time backfire for him. It all depends on how many other cars are going to come down pit road. As we were in the middle of a green flag pit stop cycle. I shouldn't say even in the middle. Only 2 cars hadn't pitted yet. That was Michael Goodman and Ethan Reasoner. And Reasoner going to hit pit lane this time. It looks like the 15 of Frankenfield going to stay out, along with a multitude of drivers, but not everybody's staying out. A few have hit pit road. Richard Hines included in that group coming down pit road. So Dave, we have our first caution of the night, and it's coming out well into the halfway, or well past the halfway mark.
Yeah, it took a very long time for the first one to fly, KR, but I think we now are going to get that, you know, dreaded cautions breed cautions thing going. I'm pretty sure that's not going to be the last one now that most of the field is going to be all grouped back together. And Ethan Reasoner, I think this played off well for him, although he is going to start behind some drivers after he made his pit stop under caution here. But remember, he was way out of this thing, over 20 seconds back from your race leader before those green flag pit stops. And he was able to pit from the lead position. I think he's going to come out not only a little further ahead, but definitely much closer to your race leader.
All right, so let's see with our first caution if we can't get a word in with some of our drivers out on the track. And let's kick it off and see if, let's see here, can we get a word in with the driver of the 10 machine? That is Jared Rexing. Jared, you got your ears on, buddy?
Yeah, I hear you.
Jared, right now you find yourself in 10th place. This is the first caution of the night. What can you tell us about this race, and how well do you feel your car is handling out there?
Well, for the most part, it's just been a lot of trying to survive. I haven't put my car up front there yet to see really how it does in the draft, but just try to keep it clean. I think I'll have a shot.
Well, we have our first caution here tonight, and what do you feel the attitude of the drivers is now that everyone has a chance to catch their breath and go forward here as we're working lap 125 of 200?
I think now that everyone's regrouped, we're probably going to see some real hard racing for the first 10, 20 laps, and it wouldn't surprise me if you saw a bit.
All right, Jared. Well, man, I want to say thank you for taking the time to talk to us. While you have the chance, do you want to give any shout outs or thank yous here tonight?
We'll do a shout out to my wife for letting me do this race.
All right, Jared. Well, thank you very much. And yeah, big props to the lady of Jared Rexing for letting him do this full-length race here tonight. That is a big commitment for sure. Maybe wife, kids, pets, animals, all of that has to be put on hold while you go out here and do 500 miles at Daytona. Dave, I don't know about you. I'm glad I get a chance to catch my breath.
I most certainly am able to finally order the pizza that I'm used to eating up here in the booth. So thank you, drivers, for giving me a chance to fill my face real fast. It's tough to get a break sometimes, but it's also great to see some, as much great racing action as we have.
For sure, was an outstanding, we'll call it opening segment. We're working our first caution of the night. The lights have gone out on the pace car, and it does appear that unfortunately the 97 machine of Levi Zielinski, too much damage to continue. He has pulled behind the wall, and for the moment he is out of this race. Might be able to rejoin later, but he is behind the wall. Dallas Myhan in the 41 machine in his pit stall, hammering away furiously on the damage he has received, trying to get that sorted. So 2 cars for the first time looking to be out of this race. Started 25, one of them behind the wall, the other one in his pit stall, but the lights have gone out on the pace car. It is time to go green flag racing once again. Chad Frankenfield in control of the field. Green flag is out. And here we go. Our first restart of the night. Frankenfield and Rucker staying in lockstep with each other. Matt Arcara there as well, not letting them get away from him. And on the outside, diving down to the inside, that is the 46 of Jose Mejia. And rounding out your top 5 for the moment is the 26 of Tyler Riggs. Down the back stretch, Frankenfield in the 15 has clean air in front of him. Chad having the dominant car so far if you measure it by laps led. 53 laps led and counting for that 15 machine. But with everyone getting a chance to catch their breath, closing the gap on this field, that means that now Damian Leininger, Matthew Weeks, Joshua Clark, David Tooker, they got the caution they needed to close that 30-second gap that they had. And we'll see what those drivers can do, as they have been out way behind the race leader.
And as they are able to get back the distance they had lost under the green flag pit stop, so we got to look at the amount of laps left. I believe these drivers are going to have to make at least 2 pit stops.
More trouble. The 14 of Brady Clark going around. No caution coming out for this one. And now the yellow is going to fly as a 14 of Clark getting in trouble through the tri-oval. And as you mentioned, cautions, reading cautions. Let's go to our turn 3 instant replay here and see what happened as Clark from second place gets a little bit of a hook from the 64 of Rucker. Gathers it back in, but everyone piling in with nowhere to go, including the 73 of Michael Goodman. Take another look at this here. Off the nose of Goodman, as everyone tried to check up. And the 14 and the 64 making contact. Tyler Riggs loaded up hard, but it looks like the 3 of Scott Haney got into him. So a big stack up in the tri-oval, including the 94 of Kendall Noah Player. We have our second caution of the night on the heels of our first caution.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if we will see drivers hit pit road this time or not, KR, as I was saying before that caution came out. 71 laps left to go. Most of the drivers have been pulling right at the 30-lap mark. Reasoner, however, has been pulling 34, maybe 35. So he may be on the verge of some strategy, but I believe most of the field going to have to pit twice. So, well, it looks like they proved me wrong. They're all going to hit pit road this time by.
Pit stops underway here as the yellow flag is flying. Frankenfield leading the charge onto pit road. And everyone on the lead lap coming down pit lane. This will give the free pass to the 89 of Brent Jones. So Jones getting back on the lead lap. That will give us 21 cars on the lead lap. Dustin Dewar be the first car in the lap down column. But the 15 winning the race off of pit road. The 83, Stephen McGough, coming off in second. And with that being said, guys, we're going to take a moment to step away. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this.
Racing, you wanted the best, you got them 4 abreast, often imitated, never duplicated, the greatest show on dirt, the World of Outlaws.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Turn 3 Racing Network. Thank you very much for joining us here tonight for the Pinecone Cabin Daytona 500. We are working our second caution of the night, the Elite Join APS Cup Series. Finds itself with about 68 laps to go in tonight's event. Chad Frankenfield, your race leader, electing the inside lane. The 83 of Stephen McGough going to restart on his outside. Joshua Personette in the 7 machine going to make up row number 2 with Richard Hines on his outside for this restart. Lights have gone out on the Ford Buttstain, and Dave, we share a passion for that car, a passion that we hated.
Yeah, I wouldn't even call it a passion. It's just a pure hatred.
Well, it's getting ready to go down pit road to work on those lights that have seemingly quit working on it. Frankenfield in control of the field. Here we go. Green flag out, and we are back underway as Frankenfield gets a good jump on McGo. Personette not to the back bumper just yet, but he is going to close in very quickly on him as they work their way into turn number 1. A lot of drivers on the inside lane, 3 drivers on the outside here trying to make something happen, but that inside lane rolling very well. But off of turn 2 down the backstretch, here comes McGo with a hard charge.
Hard charging is that inside lane. 3 cars out there on the outside lane, as you said, but they're going to start losing some momentum as Logan Shea does not have any help as of yet. Brady Clark is a good 3 to 4 cars back behind him, so help is on its way. Just a matter of if it gets there in time. McGo able to stay side by side with the 15 back into turn 1. That's going to allow his help to get there. Both lanes look like they have about the same amount of drivers who push harder. Looks like Richard Hines pushing the daylights out of that 83.
McGo out front for the moment. Behind's gonna maybe thought about making it 3 wide, then second guessed himself. That's going to stack up that outside lane and allow the 15 of Frankenfield to charge on past. So the 15 leading another lap here. But Hines and McGo, maybe a little bit of miscommunication between those two. And a big separation now as only 2 cars in that outside lane. Michael Goodman in the 73 was able to receive the free pass just a handful of laps ago. Now finds himself in 9th place. So Goodman taking full advantage of that free pass and now finds himself in a position to maybe lead some more laps out here tonight. The 45 of Matt Arcara tucked in right behind Michael Goodman. Arcara has been a mainstay in the front of this field, along with the 26 of Tyler Riggs, the 64 of Andrew Rucker, and the 14 of Brady Clark, who was involved in this most recent caution. That 14 machine looking a little beat up, a little banged up, but right now he is running in 7th place, leaning on the car in front of him and behind him up to speed, as that 14 no longer an aerodynamic beauty of a machine, a little crinkled up on the back end and on the front end. That's going to increase the drag on the 14. We'll see how that affects him if he can manage to make his way as the lead car in one of our inside or outside lanes. But Frankenfield in the 15, your race leader. McGo and Hines trying once again to challenge for the lead. And they have a run right now on that high side. 2 cars versus a whole lot more than 2. If I had to count them all, I'd have to take my shoes off, and I don't want to do that.
Yeah, I'd leave the shoes on. I'm not in for a foot smell here tonight in the booth, so let's keep them things wrapped up.
All right, I don't blame you. I smell my feet all the time. They're not pretty.
That's a little weird. It's a little weird that you smell your own feet.
That's weird.
Yeah, it's a little weird. A friend of mine, KR, you might like this one. He told me that if your feet smell, your nose runs. You're built upside down. So I don't know. You might want to go check that out.
My nose is kind of runny. Maybe it's time to go to the doctor. All right, back to the racing. A little side jabs shared between commentators. I do want to give a huge shout out and thank you to you, Dave, for joining me here tonight. As always, it is a pleasure working with you. But the drivers here are the show for sure. Only 2 cautions slowing this race down. 500 miles, the scheduled distance. Chad Frankenfield, your race leader, has been out front for 66 laps. And he has some new contenders that he is going to have to deal with. One of those being the 7 of Josh Personette, the 83 of Stephen McGough, and the 87 of Richard Hines, as McGough was able to lead that lap. So a solid move by the 83. And he's got the 15 cleared, just not dropping down in front of him. He's going to stay working with the 87 of Hines.
And it very close call, because it looked like Hines wasn't quite sure where McGough was going to go, if he was going to stay up there in that middle lane or if he was going to drop down. Very, very close on the exit of 2 that time, but he elected to stay high. You don't see that very often. Usually you see the drivers, once they clear that inside lane, they go down and take the lead of that inside lane, as you see Frankenfield able to cross the line and put yet another one of those laps in his, well, it can't be a pocketbook anymore. It's got to be at least a backpack, because he has got a lot of them to put in there. And Andrew Rucker making a move from the 3rd car on the outside lane to being the 3rd car on the inside lane. So he is trying to get back up there and lead some laps here late in the race. Just under 60 laps left to go here, KR. And you can already see it right there. The side drafting is starting to get a little bit closer. So that big one may not have happened just yet.
So far, we haven't really had what you could call a big one. Our first caution of the night coming out for a 2-car spin that included Dallas Myhan and Levi Zielinski. Myhan has rejoined the race. He is 5 laps down in 24th spot. However, Zielinski in the 97 machine is going to be our first victim of the night to attrition. Looks like he has packed it up and headed home. Then our second caution really only involved 3-4 cars. And that happened in the tri-oval. Kendall Noah Player, Scott Haney, Michael Goodman getting involved. Brady Clark was involved. Andrew Rucker in the 64 getting a piece of it. But other than that, the racing has been outstanding, has been very close, and has been topsy-turvy as far as what these drivers are going to do. As we see the 94 of Kendall Noah Player getting ready to go another lap down. So he is now 2 laps down. Dustin Dewar in the 32 machine. He is the first car 1 lap down. He finds himself in 21st spot here tonight. 89 of Brent Jones right behind him. Jones in the 89 machine sitting in 19th place on the lead lap. Jones, a recipient of the free pass. He was very thankful to see a caution flag come out. I am sure we'll see what that 89 can do now that he is back on the lead lap.
And ever since getting up there in the front, that 83 of Stephen McGough, he's not wanted to give it up. He could have cleared once again, coming off of, I believe this is turn forward 3 wide with, I believe that's Dallas Mahan out there slow on the track, heavily damaged. But McGough not letting go of that lead. Frankenfield's going to have his work cut out for him. He wants to just walk away from the field. It's not going to happen, as the 83 and 87 have been partnered up since the drop of the green flag on this latest restart. And what do you know, up there, outside lane, coming back to the front, the 45 of Matt Akara, as well as Jose Mejia. So, and just as I say that, he drops down to the bottom. Alcara now slots in third position, inside lane.
I do want to point out, this is the final race of the regular season. 14 drivers going to make it into the playoffs. One of the drivers who was not locked into the playoff contention, who did not make it to tonight's race, that is the 42 of Thomas George. We have not seen Thomas George out here tonight. He came into tonight 9th place seed for the championship standings, for the playoff standings, I should say. But he is very possibly in danger of losing out on being in chase contention. But Damian Leininger started this race tonight just above the cutoff, along with Richard Hines in the 87. Hines right now running up front. Leininger in the 12 machine finding himself in 17th place. So the points implication for this race are huge. And you throw in the fact that the 42 of Thomas George not making it out here tonight. That means that maybe the 7, as we got another caution out on the track, we have issues here at Daytona. And I am not sure, but it looks like the 83 of Stephen McGough has gone around along with several other drivers. Let's go to our turn 3 instant replay high atop the blimp to see what went wrong here, as the 64 of Andrew Rucker and Jose Mejia tried to bump draft, and that sent Rucker down into the 83. And McGough down into the inside wall, but he was not the only one to get a piece of that. Let's take another look at this. Andrew Rucker in the 64 and the 46 didn't get hooked up very nicely. The 83 goes down, hard contact to the inside wall. And then when everyone checking up, I would almost say you could call this the big one, because there was a lot of cars checking up, but maybe not a lot of cars involved in it with heavy damage. Go on board with the 26 of Tyler Riggs. Riggs starting to check up, but not enough. He's going to get into the back bumper of Clark. That Arcara slides down in front of him. And Riggs trying to drive through this, all sorts out of shape, finds himself in the grass, pointed in the wrong direction. The driver's starting to hit pit road for another caution. Our third one on the night. Frankenfield into his pit stall. Joshua Personette making his pit stop as well. Frankenfield down and away. Andrew Rucker in the 64. Richard Hines all coming off of pit road, first, second, and third. Michael Goodman in the 73, after getting back on the lead lap, continues his march towards the front. He's going to be the fourth car off of pit lane. And Jared Rexing in the 10 rounds out your top 5. So a lot of torn up cars now. Logan Shea on pit road trying to hammer out some damage. Brady Clark hammering out a little bit more damage. Matt Arcara being serviced by his pit crew. And Dave, I don't know about you, but I think I maybe want to try and get a word in. Well, I'm going to pick because I can, and you can't say anything against it. I'm going to talk to I want to talk to the driver of the 28. That is Josh Clark. Josh, you got your ears on, bud?
Yes, sir.
How you doing out there tonight, Josh? That 28 machine looking a little brightly colored. and pretty much damage-free.
Yes, sir. We made the mistake on the first green flag stop of getting everything wrong, getting in our box. We overdrove it, backed up too far left, too far back, all the the whole 9 yards. And luckily, our teammate David Tucker was waiting up for us. So me, him, and Damien were just riding as hard as we could, trying to stay on the lead lap. And luckily, we got that caution in a good time. And yeah, we're right up in the mix of this thing with 50 to go. We've got a little strategy to play out here still, but 50 laps, hopefully they're good ones.
Well, the 28 did at one point see a 30-plus second gap between you and the race leader. That first caution came out, you had to have breathed a sigh of relief because it was having the feel of a long, or maybe even the possibility of it going to the checkered flag without a caution.
Yeah, we were debating. We're like, well, what's our best play here? What do we do if this keeps going green? But the last couple of fuel runs there, that about 50, 60 laps towards before the caution, we were maintaining, if not gaining, on the leaders. I think they kind of got thin out too, and were just kind of riding just like us. But we're very lucky to be in the position we're in. All
right, man. Well, we'll let you get back to team discussions. Thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us. But before we let you go, anyone you need to give a shout out to?
Yeah, I think Ethan is listening tonight. I think he's might have gotten off work at some point. He said he was going to jump on, so he may be listening. And I think my parents are listening, so shout out.
All right, Josh. Well, thank you for taking the time to talk to us. We'll let you get back to your team and discuss how you guys are going to come from behind to win this thing. Oh, man. Can you imagine being 30 seconds behind the race leader, taking advantage of the cautions, Dave, finding a way to win this thing?
I can't imagine it because, unfortunately, I've never been in that position. I would love to be in that position. Unfortunately, as I said, whenever I've been that far back, never seems to fail that things just don't end up going my way. So, I mean, I'm sure it's gonna feel wonderful. I mean, I got a couple other words for the way it would feel as well, but we're not gonna get into those types of things. But yeah, man, it would be a tremendous feeling to start way back in the field like that and work your way back up through the field, get the break you need, and win the thing at the end. And KR, I don't think we've seen the last of it just yet. Intensity is definitely going to pick up here. Under 50 laps to go, so we're in the fourth quarter now. Maybe these drivers will have to go into overtime, so we'll see who's ready and prepared for that should we get to that point.
All right, lights are out on the Ford Mustang. We get ready to go green flag racing once again. Gonna be lap 153 when they cross the start-finish line. As the green flag comes out, Frankenfield with another excellent restart drops down to the inside right in front of Andrew Rucker. And Dave, I don't know about you, but let's do a little bit of crank it up here for this restart. bit of crank it up, never hurt nobody. Let that sound of these engines go straight into your soul and feed your ear holes with some outstanding music. Chad Frankenfield in the 15 machine, continuing to lead. He is on pace to lead over half this race. If no one can take that lead away from him, that 15 machine has led 77 laps so far tonight, and with 46 laps to go, very possibly could end up leading over half this race. Right now, it looks like the 64 of Andrew Rucker going to stay on his back bumper. But here comes the challenger, the 87 of Richard Hines, with some help from Michael Goodman. These two drivers trying to work together to wrestle the lead away from the 15 as Hines and Rucker almost get together right there. They sort it out, and once again down the backstretch we go. Jared Rexing in the 10 machine, third car on the inside lane. And Dave, this race has been nothing short of an outstanding event here tonight.
Yes, it has. And right now, seeing a few, I won't say unfamiliar names, but a few different names up here at the front. Andrew Rucker, Chad Frankenfield. Well, you've heard of them all night long here up front. But what about Jared Rexing, David Tooker, Michael Goodman, Gerald Campbell, all of those drivers, Matthew Weeks, Joshua Clark, Damian Leininger. We spoke about him being behind, way behind actually on the field. Now up inside the top 10. So a lot of new faces up here at the front, but familiarity. I probably said that all wacky because, you know, that's what I do. I just take normal words and chop them all to pieces. Frankenfield leading another lap. I think you may have to move him or put your nose where you might not want to get the race win away from him, because he's looking like he doesn't want to just win, he wants to dominate.
We go on aboard with the 19 of David Tooker. David, one of those drivers who found himself 30 seconds off the race lead. That long green flag run to open this race up. Now he finds himself in a position to be in the top 5. You look out the nose of this thing. It's tucked in behind the 10 of Jared Rexing. Michael Goodman in the 73 machine on his outside. And Pro Edge Racing driver, the 19, David Tooker, leading his teammates for the moment. And you know, Matthew Weeks right there behind him in the 11 machine, finding himself in 10th place. Got to talk to Josh Clark in the 28 machine during that last yellow. Clark now working to the back bumper of Weeks. We'll see if these drivers can work together to join their teammate Tooker and maybe make a run on the 15 of Frankenfield. But Chad continuing to lead. Richard Hines in the 87 leading that outside lane, and Michael Goodman, who at one point was one lap down in this event here tonight, now the second car in the outside lane, trying to take advantage of all the opportunity he has been given. He has done a good job recovering from being one lap down, along with the 94 of Kendall Noah Player right there. But Player finding himself one lap down, but he is the first car one lap down.
And that's always a tough spot to be in, KR, when you are in that lucky dog position, but you're up front. You have the opportunity and the chance to race your way back onto the lead lap. It's always a little tougher making your decisions, because you don't want to put those lead lap cars at danger, but you also don't want to just give up on your race. But something I'd be curious to know if these drivers are starting to peek their eyes down at that oil temp, because I'm starting to see the draft The distance between the bumpers are closing in a little bit each lap. And soon they're going to be right there pushing all over each other. And those temperatures may be a lot different from what they have been all race long, since it's been kind of a calm, cool, collective race out here tonight for the Pine Cone Cabin Daytona 500. And so I wonder whose spotters, crew chiefs are, putting that little bug in their ear, hey, what's your temps right now? You're a little closer than normal. Keep an eye on that. I wonder if that's being said to any of these drivers.
I do know that many of these drivers in the practice session did work on how many laps they could push hard, and it sounded like you could get 4 to 5 laps of just absolutely not letting your car breathe before it decided to give up the ghost. And so we might see that really take place within the final 10 laps of this race, where someone decides to push for all they're worth and maybe send that engine on to a better life and just try and cross the start-finish line before it explodes.
And something else I am looking at right now, KR. 38 laps to go. We know these drivers have been able to stretch it to 33, 34 laps. So we're obviously going to need one more stop to make it to the scheduled distance. If you were on the box, I know what I would do as I crew chief for my crew multiple times throughout the week. I know what strategy I usually employ, but what do you do right now knowing you only need about 5 laps of fuel? Do you come in early for a splash with 1 or 2 other drivers? Or do you try to ride this thing on out and see if there's a caution?
I'll tell you, the best thing you can do on a super speedway series is try and stay with the biggest pack. The biggest pack is going to have the most energy. Maybe not necessarily trying to outsmart anyone, but definitely want to set yourself up to be in the best position that you can be when you hit pit road, because drivers coming onto pit lane, that is an opportunity to gain some ground, because if you're a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more perfect than the drivers around you, and can hit your pit entry perfectly, then you have an opportunity to get off the pit road as fast as possible, and you hope that there are people behind you at that point that can close up on you, use the draft, and get rolling, and then maybe everything plays out where you come out on top of that situation. But something like this, knowing you have a pit stop in order, you don't want to pit by yourself. That's all I can say. You do not want to pit by yourself. You don't want to be the only car on pit road. That will be a bad situation for you, especially here in the closing stages of the race.
But we've already seen tonight, though. We've already seen that 86 of Reasoner pit multiple times by himself, KR, and it shook out pretty well for him. I don't know if I'd go by myself. 2 or 3 cars, yeah, I think I may go for it. Go for the early pit stop. Just less cars to have to worry about and or dodge. Should we see some of those lockups that we have already seen here tonight from multiple drivers. So I'm not sure if I'd want to pit with the biggest pack, but I absolutely need 2 or 3 drivers to come with me.
And you mentioned Reasoner pitting by himself, and it worked in a fashion for him. At no point did he rejoin the race after his pit stop and retain the lead. However, he has been able to work his way through the field and make that strategy work. But as I mentioned, coming to the closing stages of the race, you do not want to lose any ground. And he lost a lot of ground each time he came up onto the racetrack after his pit stop. That could be the difference here tonight. These drivers all know what is in store, what is at stake. Final race of the regular season. You might see someone try and get desperate to make the playoffs and make a bold move for the race lead, bringing out a caution, or maybe even not necessarily a caution, but costing you some spots as you have to check up because they slice down in front of you.
Absolutely, and honestly, KR, have you seen the winning trophy for this race? Not just the opportunity to go and make it into the chasing run for a championship, but I want the trophy for this race myself. And a bold move is quite an understatement for what I would probably try to pull off in the last lap or two. So I expect a lot of action late here. 32 laps to go. We have reached that fuel window. So drivers at any point in time, they could pit and make it to the end. But I think most of them are going to stay on track until they need to come down for fuel. And man, I'm telling you, there's going to be one of them wow moments here shortly. Probably, I would say, another 15, 20-ish laps to go, and we're really going to start to see those big moves come out of the box.
You mentioned the trophy for tonight's race, and it is an absolute work of art. It is on a wooden slab, and then on that wooden slab is printed the Pine Cone Cabin logo, Daytona 500, and today's date, and then a beautiful raised and black silhouette of the Daytona oval track. But we do have one car coming down for pit road. I believe that is the 86 of Ethan Reasoner. So he is pitting by himself. And maybe Ethan Reasoner gonna show me absolutely how to be wrong in race strategy.
Well, I can tell you this much, and you know it from my previous experiences in the booth for you. I have been known to, when I point out a driver in certain instances, usually tends to backfire. So hopefully this time it backfires on you instead of me.
Michael Goodman in the 73 machine out front for the moment. We have seen this track, this field produce multiple lead changes. There's been so many lead changes here tonight, I have lost count. And Goodman in the 73 machine going to lead his first lap of the race here, and it could be his first win of the season. He has a lot of hungry drivers tucked in behind him. Kendall Noah player in the 94 making a move to the outside. Kendall still the first car one lap down. He's trying to get back on the lead lap the hard way. And we have several more drivers hitting pit road, including the 10 of Jared Rexing, the 19 of David Tooker, the 28 of Josh Clark, Damian Leininger in the 12, and the 11 of Matthew Weeks, all on pit road. The green flag pit stops happening in a hurry. As you mentioned, that fuel window being opened up, and the drivers taking advantage of it, Dave.
And Reasoner is actually faring pretty well right now, KR. He hasn't went down lap yet. I mean, the lead pack is closing in on him very, very quickly. You see him, he moves all the way up to the top lane, as I believe most of your lead lap cars are going to be on him here very, very shortly. But we should start to see some more drivers hit pit road as the lead pack catches up to Reasoner this time. But that's going to allow him to grab a hold of a massive pack and get his speed up. And that is going to help his chances when the rest of the field hits their pit stops as we come to the closing stages of this race.
So now, Matt Arcara in the 45 scored as the race leader. Kendall Noah Player in the 94, the last car on the lead lap. He is trying to do everything he can to get back into this race. He is leading the charge of all our lead lap drivers. And I'll tell you what, I do not envy the position that 94 machine is in. Because if he makes a mistake here, a lot of fingers are going to be pointed at him, a lot of blame, and it won't necessarily be warranted, because that 94 has every bit of right to be out there, to be in front of our leaders and trying to get back into this race. But with the 75 and the 45 running second and first respectively, they stay out. Have not had any more drivers come down pit road. Ethan Reisner in the 86 is the first car one lap down. He has made what could be his final pit stop of the night. When this lead pack hits pit lane, he will get back on the lead lap. But I am not sure on that strategy call just yet for the 86. We'll keep an eye on it, because he has been able to use that off-sequence strategy to his favor. Now we do have a few more drivers on pit road. Oh man, as the 83 of McGo and Rucker almost got together with that pit entry. Scott Haney in the 3, 87 of Richard Hines also hitting pit road. That is going to give the lead to the 31 of Gerald Campbell. And Campbell now leading a 6-car group, or I should say 5-car, as Reisner is one lap down. So just a handful of cars left to complete this green flag pit stop cycle. And Matt Arcara on the outside lane. We'll see if he's going to try and hit pit road this time. Here comes Campbell breaking away. So does the 14 of Brady Clark. And Matt Arcara going to stay out for another lap, along with Jose Mejia and the 86 of Ethan Reisner trying to get back on the lead lap. He has the 32 of Dustin Dewar right behind him. And Dave, these green flag pit stops proving to be very important here as we are closing in on 22 laps to go.
Yes, they have, and it looks like so far the big winners, Jared Rexing, David Tucker, Matthew Weeks, and Joshua Clark. Damian Liniger also right there with them. They pitted 5 laps ago, and it looks like when all is said and done, that 5-car train will end up inheriting the race lead with just under 25 laps left here tonight, as Matthew Arcara and Jose Mejia are on pit road, and the 10 machine is motoring at top speed down into turn number 3. And Reisner, I guess you were right. He finds himself way behind the field right now, all the way back in the 18th position. So that early pit stop did not pay off in the long run here. And now coming up on the outside for the battle of the eventual race lead, looks like the 87 of Richard Hines has help with Chad Frankenfield, who is no stranger to the lead, and they are motoring right on by that 5-car train on the inside.
2 cars working that outer lane, building enough momentum down the backstretch to challenge for the lead. But the 10 of Jared Rexing going to use that inside lane to his advantage to hold on to the top spot. And Rexing trying to lead his first lap of the race officially. He gets it done there. We have another scored lead change. And I'll tell you what, Dave, these drivers from start to finish have put on a heck of a show. I have a feeling that we haven't seen anything yet as we close in on 20 laps to go.
20 laps to go, 47 lead changes so far here tonight as we work lap 180 out of 200 KR, and the top 7 have bought themselves a 4.5 second lead over the 8th place finisher. So now I think you're really gonna see who wants to push who wants to run with who, because the time is running out for that second little pack to gain the ground that is going to be needed. It's going to take them at least 10 of these final 20 laps just to get back up to this front 7. So now is the time, if you're going to test the waters, I believe now is the time that you need to do so if you're up inside of that top 7.
Testing is done and over with. You need to look into your notebook and you need to start pulling out every trick that you have, because with 20 laps to go in a 200 lap event, your test and tune is over. It is all about applying what you have learned throughout all your 180 completed laps here tonight. And I'll tell you what, the 19, the 11, and the 28, who were looking at a 30-second gap to the leaders, have taken full advantage of all the cautions that have come out since then, and they are now battling all inside the top 5 for this race win. Jared Rexing in the 10, though. He is out front and he is looking for his first win of the season. Rexing, one of the drivers who was locked in to the playoff contention with the points that he has gained throughout the season. But man, oh man, if the 10 can win a race, what a momentum boost that would be for him heading into the playoffs that kick off next week at Iowa.
Absolutely. I think I would like to be in his shoes, actually. Knowing I'm locked in, knowing I can kind of go for broke here tonight, what better way to end the regular season than with a race win here for the Pinecone Cabin Daytona 500. I mean, you win the last race of the season, gives you great momentum, great focus, great confidence starting into the chase, into round 1 of the chase. So that would be probably just as good of a feeling for him as it would be for the 19 of David Tooker, who you alluded to, almost 30 seconds behind the field and now battling inside the top 5. Second car on the inside lane being shown in the 3rd position depending on where he crosses the line. So both of those drivers up front leading that inside lane have got some great stories that can unfold with just pure joy during the celebration, should they be able to pull off the race win here tonight.
Jared Rexing in the 10, continuing to lead. The 87 of Richard Hines, Chad Frankenfield in the 15, working desperately to wrestle the lead away. Hines can get the lead down the backstretch, but only by half a car length, not enough to drop down in front of the 10 just yet, as 5 cars work that inside lane, 2 cars working that outside lane, and Frankenfield in the 15 has fallen off of the 87 here. You can see how that affects Richard Hines and the outside lane as they lose some ground to the 10 of Jared Rexing. But we have focused in on these top 6, 7 cars here. But Gerald Campbell in the 31 right now in 8th place. He is leading a rather larger pack of drivers. If this pack of drivers can get single file, they have just enough time to maybe close the gap and really challenge for the race win. 15 laps is still a lot of time here at Daytona.
It is, KR, but 8.6 seconds back at the line. We'll take a look, see where that number shakes out when we get back to the line to take only 13 laps to go when we get back to the line. So we'll check in on that number, see if it gained or closed up. And unfortunately, right now, looking at it, it looks like that gap is actually opening up. So I'm not sure they're gonna have the time. I have been wrong already in this race as Ethan Reisner's strategy. I kind of agreed with it for a moment, and then I got proved wrong as usual. So yeah, I'm gonna say they don't have enough time, just in hopes that they get up there and do have enough time and make it interesting.
Dallas Myhan in the 41. Right now he is 8 laps down, heavily torn up as he went with a 2-car spin that involved Levi Zielinski. It is hard to say, or I shouldn't say hard to say, but hard to believe that we only have 1 car out of this race here tonight. That is the 97 of Zielinski, who made contact with Myhan. Those 2 drivers went for a wild ride, and Zielinski unable to continue on. Myhan has been out there soldiering on, wants to complete this race, complete that 500-mile event. You won't necessarily complete all 500 miles, is a few laps down, but there still is some satisfaction to being there for the checkered flag. And I think Dallas is going to earn that hard luck award. And I do like to see a driver continue on through adversity. And so I'm going to give Dallas Myhan that hard luck award, that soldiering on, whatever you want to call it. I always appreciate a driver who doesn't give up.
Yeah, it's much appreciated, not just by us, but by the race teams, the fellow teammates. You may not have the car to win, but that doesn't mean that you can't help the cause, whether it be breaking up a good tandem or just staying tucked up on their rear bumper to try to help push them to a win. So the fact of perseverance and soldiering on is always looked upon as a great thing. And we're going to have 10 laps left to go when they cross the line this time, KR. And where's the move going to come from? When's it going to happen? Is the 19 going to look to go 3 wide middle, maybe bottom? Or will we see Chad Frankenfield be the driver to take it 3 wide? We've seen him take it 3 wide earlier in tonight's race. Will he be the one to stick that nose out beside that 87 of Hines and make this thing 3 wide? They're going to have to catch back up to the front of the field, though, if they're going to want to do that. That outside lane has fallen back to be even with the 11 of Matthew Weeks. So still a lot of green flag racing left to do here. 9 laps now when we cross the line. Still a long, still a long time to determine who's going to walk away your race winner. But I honestly don't know, out of this top 7 right here, who has the best shot.
I think the winning move has got to come off of turn number 4 when the white flag has already been shown, as Hines is going to drop down in front of the 10 of Rexing. Oh, and Frankenfield and Rexing make contact going into turn 3. That is going to cause the 15 to have to check up a little bit. He is going to lose a lot of ground. Dallas Myhan in the 41 here, going to factor in to this as he was down on the inside. But Rexing now making a move to the outside on the 87 of Hines, and Hines being left out to dry on that inside lane. Frankenfield gonna find him once again, and now Frankenfield going to get to his back bumper, and Weeks making a move for the lead, but the 10 of Rexing gonna throw the block, diving down to the inside with 8 laps to go. Every move matters now.
Every move matters, and you seen the 28 of Joshua Clark. He jumped to the outside. He got to the bumper of the 19, David Tooker. Now Tooker is trying to battle with the 10 of Jared Rexing. Going to be real close going into 1 and 2. Rexing still has the advantage, but there are 4 cars in the outside lane, only 3 down on the bottom. Although the inside lane does have the momentum, now Frankenfield goes to the bottom. The 11 up right in front of the 19. That was, man, that I don't think you could have put paper in between those 2 bumpers, and the 11 gets pushed to the front with a big gap. Now the 19 could slot down bottom. Is he? No, looks like he will stay up top. Outside lane now prevailing. 28 is also clear of that inside lane, but I believe Weeks is starting to come back now. Sorry, Weeks is leading the race. I mean, the 10 of Rexing starting to come back now with help from that 87 KR. So we have not seen our last lead change. Contact.
Big moment there, as lap cars are going to be a factor here. Rexing now in the middle, but Weeks and Tooker going to stay way up high, allow Rexing in the 10 the room he needs. Now Matthew Weeks in the 11 drops down to the inside. 5 laps to go when they cross the start-finish line this time.
Big moves being made up at the front by Weeks, going to the bottom, pulling Rexing up just a little bit, getting a little bit of a shot from him. Back up in front of the high lane, in front of Tooker. Will he drop back down on the backstretch here? Looks like he's going to stay up top with Tooker, but will Tooker stay in that outside lane? Believe he will. Lap cars now latching on to the end of this lead pack. There you see Resner. He is being scored now. The Reasoner, I apologize, being the first car 1 lap down. Close right there with the 10. And a lot of stuff going on here late in the race. 5 laps to go.
Oh, and the 11's going to get turned. Matthew Weeks goes for a spin off the racing surface. No caution flag going to fly for him. But now that is going to give the lead to the 15 of Chad Frankenfield, as David Tooker going to get trapped behind the 32. And now the 12 of Damian Leininger goes for a spin. He is off the racing surface as well. Here comes the 19 on the outside with his teammate Pro Edge Racing, who have been committed to each other, now being down to 2 drivers as Weeks went for a spin on the front stretch. Matthew Weeks finally gets rolling, but he is all the way scored. He is scored all the way down in 15th spot, and we have 3 laps to go in this event. Pro Edge Racing being led by the 19 of David Tooker, with Josh Clark in the 28 on his outside. Chad Frankenfield working with Jared Rexing, trying to make something happen here. Rexing from Bright Light Motorsports and Frankenfield from 90 Motorsports. Can these 2 cars from different teams work together and beat Pro Edge Racing, as those 2 drivers in the 19 and the 28 pull off a team maneuver and stay on the high side with 2 laps to go? Another lap car, that looks like the 11 of Weeks, going to be a factor here. Can he get to the back bumper of his teammates and help push for the win?
Doesn't look like he's going to be able to do anything about what happens for the race lead, as we are down the back stretch. Frankenfield looking like he wants to try to block the run. Not going to get there in time. Tooker with the run, pulling even now with Frankenfield through 3 and 4. Those 2 teammates up there on the high side. And KR, we have seen a lot of close racing, door banging here at the end of this thing. White flag is in the air. Next flag will end this thing. Lap down car down there on the inside. Frankenfield still leading the race, coming through 1 and 2 side by side for second place between Rexing and Tooker. Will the run come? What will the 32 do as he is just behind Reisner? Will those two drivers stick with the inside lane or the outside inside lane for now going into turn 3?
Ooh, contact made. The 19's gonna go around. He's gonna collect the 10, and that is gonna leave the 15 of Chad Frankenfield with clean air, and Chad Frankenfield gonna come away with the race win here for the Pinecone Cabin Daytona 500. And what a finish that was, as the 19 of David Tooker got turned going through turns 3 and 4. He is going to gather it back in, cross the line in 11th place. But let's back that up a little bit more and see how that all played out as they were coming to the checkered flag. And it looks like the dreaded net code, as the 10 of Jared Rexing and the 19 of David Tooker are going to see their race fall a little bit short here tonight. But the 15 of Frankenfield gonna win the race. Josh Clark in the 28 machine coming home in second. But as the 15 celebrates his 3rd win of the season, guys, we're gonna set up our post-race show. No one go anywhere. We'll be right back. And while we set it up, if you have any questions to ask these drivers, put them in the chat now and we will get them to the drivers. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, as we wait for our final driver to join us in the booth. We'll go ahead and kick things off with our 3rd place finisher, and let's see if we can't get a word in with the 12 machine piloted by Damian Leininger. Damian, congratulations on 3rd place out here tonight. Tell us a little bit about your race.
My race was really really up and down. It whole strategy was just to ride around for the first how many ever laps, close to 150, and then get going. And I ended up sliding through my pit box and losing my teammates. So we had half of them, and we almost went a lap down there, and then got a timely caution just in time, and caught back up.
Well, the 12 machine had a bit of an up and down race all night long. You found yourself deep in the field. I think it was around 30 seconds off the pace of the race leaders, but you managed to find a way to put it on the podium here tonight for a third place finish. Tell us, you know, what it took to have that happen.
It took a lot of water and a lot of just being patient. There was times where I was really frustrated with myself on what I did, and I didn't think we were going to get the caution and stuff. And then at the end, we were able to link back up with the five of us that kind of made a plan coming into tonight's race to work together, and just everything started working out. We short pitted on that last one so we could have enough fuel to get to the end, and Chad and Richard got our draft coming out of pits, and we're able to catch back up and make it really interesting at the end.
Well, 500 miles completed here, and you walk away with that third place finish. Any shout outs or thank yous you'd like to give?
First of all, I need to say I'm sorry to Matthew Weeks. Coming there with, I think it was 2 to go or 3 to go or something. I got into him right past the start finish line. He came down for a block. I went under the line. I took him out. I'm so sorry. I know he had to win to get in the playoffs. I know he's really upset, so I just had to apologize to him. And you say thank you to Jared, Josh, David, Matthew, all the guys that work together. Bright Lights Motorsports, need to thank you for doing this broadcast. Pinecone Cabin for sponsoring this 500-mile race so we could bring it to you guys tonight. And just thanks Elite, Chad, Josh, Vic, everybody. I mean, everybody. This could not have gone any better.
All right, man. Well, congratulations on your third place finish out here tonight. Once again, nice job. 500 miles, no easy task, and you bring it home in third place. Job well done, man.
All right, thank you.
That is the pilot of the 12 machine, Damian Leininger, as we watch him making contact with the 11 of Matthew Weeks there. But now let's take a moment and move on to our second place finisher, and that is our 28 machine piloted by Joshua Clark. Josh, how you doing out there tonight?
Oh, I'm good. Thrilled to get a second place tonight.
Well, the Pro Edge drivers were working together flawlessly all night long, and then you lost the 11 as you went through the tri-oval. He got turned as he tried to throw a block, but here you are. The 28 machine had a great race, able to bring it home in second place. Tell us about those last few laps before you tell us about the whole race.
Yeah, first of all, big shout out to Jared Rexing and Damian tonight for rolling with us. Toyotas, we were certainly nose to tail a lot tonight, and we decided that as soon as our pit window opened within a reasonable amount to make it through even a green white checkered, we would pit just to get out of the pack, and then we could put some quicker lap times down, just kind of going nose to tail. And it looked like after that cycle, the cars without damage, so Chad and Richard cycled out, with us, and yeah, we were just kind of riding, keeping them pinned to the outside until about 5 to go. I know our teammate Matthew Weeks had to win, so he decided it was time to start going. So I was just trying to roll with him wherever I could, and stuff just started to happen. I think he kind of got spun from the lead, and then Tucker and Damien kind of got together, and then some net code in the last corner and took out a couple of those guys. But man, I wish I could have stayed to the 19 going to the line, because I think we could have had him.
Well, second place finish here for the 28 is got to be a solid feeling, as at one point you're one of the drivers maybe in danger of going a lap down, but then you caught some lucky breaks from the caution and you took full advantage of it, and the whole team will work together all night long. I would say that was an amazing team effort out here tonight.
Absolutely. We us Toyota guys got together. There were a few others. I know Levi got wrecked out a little bit earlier, but we were committed to just trying to get through that first half of the race at least with clean race cars, and I think we all did that. Unfortunately, that first pit stop, I know I said earlier in the in-race interview, a couple of us made mistakes, and then the 19 was nice enough to wait up for us so we wouldn't, be completely off the pace. And then the 11 had a little issue on his second or third stop or something like that, so he came back with us and a few other guys along the way. And eventually it just got spread out enough that we were just making good enough lap time that maybe we'd lose a second or two over the whole 30-lap fuel run. So we were really in a decent spot. We just needed that lucky caution right when we got it, so we could be back on sequence on the right strategy.
Well, Josh, again, congratulations on second place. Any other shout outs or thank yous you need to give for this finish here tonight?
Yeah, huge shout out to my Pro Edge Racing teammates. I know Ethan couldn't make it tonight, but David and Matthew, this was a heck of a night for us, and I know not exactly the result we wanted. I'm not quite sure where those two finished, but to come home with a second, knowing that I worked together with them and my Toyota teammates tonight, that's really great. I think like I said, my parents were watching tonight. First time they've watched the iRacing broadcast, I think. So shout out to them, and yeah, it's just a little bit bittersweet. Wish I could have stayed to the 19 and. I think, man, off of the corner, I think the outside lane is where you want to be, but to about halfway down the straightaway, and I wish we could redo that last corner, is what I'm saying.
Well, always what could have been is a good sign of a driver who wants a little bit more. I'll tell you what, Josh, nice job out there tonight. Maybe you'll get that next week as you roll in playoffs.
Absolutely. I think I may finish second in points in the regular season points. Maybe, depending. I don't know how it shakes out, but that's obviously pretty solid right there to take going into the playoffs.
All right, man. Well, thank you for taking the time to talk to us here at the end of a long, grueling 500 miles.
Absolutely. Thank you for broadcasting.
That was Josh Clark finishing in second place here tonight in the 28 machine. But now it is time to talk to our race winner, and that is none other than the 15 of Chad Frankenfield. Chad, you pick up your third win of the season after a long 500-mile event. Tell us about your race.
Yeah, it was pretty insane. It was really about who you're going to draft with, and I knew the Toyotas were going to be together. I knew the bunch of the Chevys were going to work together. So really, it came down to the misfits that were left, and my teammates couldn't make tonight, so it just made it really a little more difficult. So me and Rucker hooked up early, both being Ford guys, and then really is whoever else was willing to help draft. Strategy-wise, I thought we played it perfect all night, and really we just did what we needed to do. Pit entrance, I thought we did a really good job entering pit road on green flag stops. I think with us only pitting with maybe half the amount of cars everybody else was, we didn't have to be as cautious, so it helped us get time back. But yeah, I mean it was crazy. It was a really good race. It was fun. Thank you to Pinecone Cabin obviously for coming on board. Really, I mean, probably the biggest win I've had in my career.
Well, the 15 led for 92 laps, and coming off a turn for the 19 and the 10 in position maybe to steal the win away from you, but some netcode got involved, and maybe did you breathe a sigh of relief seeing that in your rear view mirror?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I mean, once I saw what was happening, I knew it was it, and I was like shaking coming off turn 4 because I saw what was happening, and yeah, man. I mean, it was wild, and we did everything we could tonight. So yeah, let's thank everybody for taking part in the race, and obviously thank you for broadcasting.
All right, Chad. Well, short little thank yous there, but is there anyone else you would like to give a shout out or a thank you to?
Just thank you to everybody who ran tonight and is making this league so awesome. We were at an Indy 500 last week, Daytona 500 this week. It's just obviously everything's just really neat how everything played out. So just want to thank Pine Coon Cabin again for going on board. And that's about it. Yeah, thank you.
All right, Chad. Well, congratulations on the race win. 500 miles in the books here, and you come away with the race win. Nice job out there tonight.
Thank you.
All right, guys. That was all of our podium finishing drivers. Ed Frankenfield coming away after leading 92 laps in this event, celebrating in dramatic fashion with some donuts in the grass. That means it is time now to go through our finishing results here tonight. Frankenfield with the race win. Joshua Clark finishing in second. Damian Leininger coming away in third place. Here tonight, we heard from all three of those drivers. The 6 of Logan Shea coming home in fourth place. 5th going to Gerald Campbell. 6th going to Michael Goodman. Josh Personette finishing 7th place in the 7 machine. Andrew Rucker finishing 8th. 9th going to Scott Haney in the 3. 10th, Matt Arcara. 11th, David Tooker. Jared Rexing in the 10, finishing in 12th. 13th going to Matthew Weeks. 14th, Ethan Reasoner. Brady Clark finishing in 15th. 16th going to Richard Hines. 17th place will be the 889 of Brent Jones. 18th will be Kendall Noah Player. Tyler Riggs finishing in 19th. 20th will be Dustin Dewar. 21st going to Stephen McGough. 22nd, David Westergreen. 23rd, Jose Mejia. Dallas Myhan finishing in 24th spot. And 25th, Levi Zielinski in the 97. The only car unable to finish here in this 500-mile race. And that is an outstanding feat for this elite racing league. After 500 miles, only one car was unable to continue. Guys, thank you very much for joining us here tonight. Hope everyone enjoyed the show. I thoroughly enjoyed the racing that went on here tonight at Daytona. This was the final race of the regular season. Next week at Iowa, we will kick off our first round of the playoffs. And 14 drivers set themselves up to be in the final round of this season. That final race, the championship race, taking place at Gateway Motorsports. But before we get there, we have got to go through 7 more races, and it kicks off at Iowa next week. So make sure you tune in for that event. And for myself in the broadcast booth, I have been your host all night long. My name is KR Stolfus. Huge thank you to Dave Worrell for his superb analysis for this race. That is going to do it here at Turn 3 Racing Network. Thank you so much for joining me. And until next week, y'all have a good night.